Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, a very special event in Walt's hometown. Fantastic Four arrives at the resort in more ways than one.
A sneak peek at the holidays for 2025, a teaser for the Oogie Boogie Bash. We talk about our experience at the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Greetings aboard the DL Weekly Orbiter. For your safety, intergalactic regulations require that you remain seated with your seatbelt fastened, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast. And please, watch your children. To make Tag and Teresa fly higher, pull back on the control lever in front of you. To descend, just push the control lever forward. Thank you. Please enjoy your spaceflight.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of July 30th, 2025. I'm Tag Bushman.
And I'm Teresa Urban. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show. This week, we would like to give a special shout out to Dinah M., Janelle A., Eric D., Jenny D., and Teresa C. for becoming new supporters and new weekly tiers. If you would like to help support the show and get an ad-free version of each episode, access to our supporter-only Discord chat, and a bunch of other really fun perks, head on over to dlweekly.net/support to become an official weekly tier.
Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra! Read all about it! DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
A very special event in Walt Disney's hometown of Marceline, Missouri is happening on September 20th, and tickets are now on sale. The Dreaming Tree Gala, which is held at the Walt Disney Family Farm, returns this year themed to Lady and the Tramp. General admission includes dinner on the family farm, access to Peg's Speakeasy, guided tours of Marceline, a gift bag, and admission to the Walt Disney Hometown Museum. If you upgrade to the VIP ticket, you also get access to guest speaker panels, which feature Don Perry, Matt McKim, Marcy Carricker-Smothers, and Holly Foster Wells. Leslie Iwerks will be speaking at the dinner. All the information, including the link to purchase tickets, is at the link in our show notes.
This is such a fun event. So we were very fortunate and attended at the last Dreaming Tree Gala, which you can check out our episode on that. Our recap of our experience is episode 304, titled The Dreaming Tree Gala in Marceline, Missouri. And then more recently, we actually spoke with Kay, who is the head of the hometown museum there in Marceline. And she was on episode 366, talking about kind of like when they announced what the Dreaming Tree Gala is. We talked about Marceline and how special it is, and Walt and Roy's history with Marceline, and all of the different Disney things that are there to this day, and why it should be something on all big Disney history fans' bucket lists to go visit someday. But this is a really, really great event. It happens every other year, and it is like their big fundraiser for the museum, because the museum is all donation based. It's a nonprofit, so it helps them keep doing all the amazing things that they're doing to keep Walt's history alive and well in Marceline. So it's a really, really great cause and a really fantastic event.
It's also great, in addition to that, by going to this event, you support the town of Marceline, which is also a fantastic thing to do because it's a cute little town we've talked about so much. Again, go listen to our podcast episode about it. We just love it. So really great event. The speakers are always wonderful. The dinner and everything is great because every time it's themed, and this time it's going to be themed to Lady and the Tramp. So that's going to be very exciting. So it should be really good.
Plus, two of your favorite podcast hosts are going to be there as well. Our rooms are reserved, and we're very excited to be returning to Marceline. Marceline is the closest, like, Disney thing, really, to us. I mean,
it's the only thing we don't have to fly for. We can drive down.
We can drive to Marceline, Missouri from where we're at. The other thing that we get to visit, too, that's another close Disney thing, is Walt's birth home in Chicago. That is not like, they're redoing that still. It's not open to the public just yet. So this is like the closest thing to what we can do with where we're at. So we really enjoy Marceline. I think we extra enjoyed the fact that, it's a drive away. And it's just a really, really special, really, really cool place to visit. Well, the new Fantastic Four movie debuted last week, so guests can now meet the Fantastic Four and their cute robot companion, Herbie, in Tomorrowland. The mid-century modern aesthetic of the movie fits in well with Tomorrowland's 60s theme. The Herbie character is a marvel of in-park animatronics as it rolls around on one wheel. Seriously, it's really cool. The characters are meeting outside the Tomorrowland Theater for a limited time. There's also a projection show now through September 21st on the Space Mountain exterior to celebrate the Fantastic Four.
So I had to look this up because I knew that Herbie was going to be there. And yes.
Cute.
The rest of the Fantastic Four are amazing and
wonderful.
And
Thing
they
looks
look
great.
Thing looks great. Like there's a lot good going on here. But Herbie is one of those things we've talked about before with like the BDX droids in Galaxy's Edge, that those are cute. They walk around, they can do a little jump, they like have a lot of personality. And Herbie does the same thing, except for he's rolling around on a single wheel. Yeah. And I watched this and I was like, I don't know how this works.
It's like
this is very amazing.
It's like a giant sphere. So think of like kind of like BB-8, but like it's a much smaller point and he's much, much taller.
Yeah. It's super cool. And he'll like talk to you like, well, beep, beep, bop, boop at you basically.
Yeah, that's cute. He has his little robot language. It's adorable.
I have not looked at, I need to look really quick. I do not know what this projection.
The projection show looks really cool. I have just seen clips of it because again, it's one of those things that, you know, you're just not going to get the full feel of it from a video, but you get a good sense of, you know, but how cool. Is this the first time they've done projections on like a projection show on the Space Mountain facade?
The only thing they've done before is I wouldn't even consider it a projection show at all. It was during Ghost Galaxy.
Yeah,
it looked
Ghost
like
Galaxy.
Things were coming out, but that's the closest thing. Nothing like this.
Yeah, this is like same quality of projection show as what you find like on Main Street or Small World or even back in Batuu now on the Spires of Galaxy's Edge.
This looks really cool.
It looked like, and the music for this film is also like very classic, like epic sounding music. So it does really well for nighttime spectacular type things. It's very cool.
We talked about it. Like they've had projectors that they installed for this stuff like a year ago, and they've never really utilized it for anything.
And now
they have. So I'm kind of all for Disney projecting on things.
Yes.
Because
and having these little mini shows.
Cool. Yeah.
The cool thing about these like mini shows, like Tapestry of Happiness, that one goes multiple times throughout the evening.
Yeah.
Let me just look real quick on the Disneyland app. I don't know if this is a one time per night show or if it also is multiple. It doesn't say. It's not in the Disneyland app at all.
So something else that I didn't put in the main read of the story is there is a magic shot with the Thing or Herbie that you can get if you're on the Disney Cruise Line, which is super cool. And there's some like drinks and stuff too on the Disney Cruise Line. There's stuff going on all around.
What's the show called?
The show?
Yeah, the projection show.
It just says Space Mountain will light up with a special projection effect.
Interesting. It is not on the app, so I guess
throughout the evening. So I assume that it's going to air multiple times or show multiple times.
But it doesn't have like it's not like Tapestry of Happiness where in the app it tells you specific times. So if it's something that you want to catch, make sure check with a cast member and see if there is a schedule that they can give you an idea of what time would be good to be back there. I love this idea. I hope that they continue and do more things like this.
Well, of course, with the arrival of the Fantastic Four, there are a number of food, beverage, and novelty items. For the novelties, there's a Fantastic Four clobberin' sipper and a Mr. Fantastic straw clip.
I kind of like the straw clip because it's like he's stretched and bent around the straw. It's fun. Food items, though. There's some very interesting food items. We'll start at Disneyland in Tomorrowland over at Alien Pizza Planet. There's the First Family, which is a 4-item combo, so you can get cheese or pepperoni pizza slice served with a side garden salad, a specialty dessert, and a specialty beverage. No more details on what makes them special, but they look pretty darn cool in the photo. Like the drink looks like it's like a kind of like a rich blue, maybe almost with a little bit of a purple, but kind of like a royal
like
blue.
A puff
and
thing.
There's like some sort of foam on top of it. And yeah, the dessert's kind of like a a puff. It looks kind of like a cosmic cream orb, that kind of pastry puff that they've been doing stuff with. But that's fun.
The Yancey Street black and white cookie, if you've seen the movie, you get this reference of this cookie. There was a big deal to the thing. So
so like the cookie itself is a big was a big deal?
the thing, it's not relevant to the story really, but the thing went to this, he grew up in this part of New York or whatever, and this bakery makes these black and white cookies, and
so it's like
he's very excited about them. Yep. Over in Disney California Adventure, in Avengers Campus, there is the fantastic elastic mozzarella stick served with sour cream and onion ranch. Now,
that's like, it's like,
this does not look appetizing to me.
It's so interesting. So like the outside of it is blue.
Yes.
So I think that's what makes it kind of interesting. Yeah. But I'm curious about the sour cream and onion ranch.
I am curious about that too. The other one, actually, I like the look of, and I'm actually really intrigued by, is the Invisible Indulgence, a clear lemon pie with a shortbread crust, whipped cream, and meringue pieces. Well, I feel like this is going to be similar to that
really funky
thing that we had, that olive oil pie cake thing. Anyway, it looks cool.
I like the photo that they have on the Disney Parks blog doesn't really make it look clear. It looks like it's kind of got like a purpley blue tint to it, but I'm so curious. I don't think these things will still be around. All of these things were available starting July 24th. They do not have an end date listed. So I'm not sure if they'll be around when we're there next. But of all the things, I think I'm most intrigued by the dessert.
Can somebody,
the Invisible Indulgence,
if they get this, let us know about it, because we're intrigued. And if you try the mozzarella stick with the ranch, also let us know.
We could kind of go on. I'm just going to touch on it a little bit because there's all sorts of speculation online, but something that is quite interesting about the Fantastic Four's debut in the parks is that this is the first time since we've had Avengers Campus that we're having like Marvel superheroes meeting and greeting outside of Avengers Campus. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of speculation online as to if that might mean something for the future of Tomorrowland, because the setting for the movie is kind of like, has Tomorrowland feels, like OG Tomorrowland feels, like the Tomorrowland that everyone kind of well, maybe not everyone, that Disneyland fans, like the diehards, like it has like vibes of the People Mover and like that era of Tomorrowland that everybody so fondly either remembers or wishes that they were able to experience so that they could remember it. So there's been a lot of speculation online if this might be a signal of a Tomorrowland refurb. I don't know. I don't know if I feel that way. I think like aesthetic wise, it made sense for their little meet and greet thing to be put where it is, and now especially with the projection show, I don't know where you do that projection show in Avengers Campus. Like you can use Space Mountain, but who knows? I wouldn't have, if you would have asked me like 2 months ago, where would you do a projection show? I don't know if Space Mountain would have been one that would have come top to mind either. Sure. So you never know. So it's interesting. I feel like there's just a lot of like wishful thinking.
Yeah. I don't think it had a pretty good opening weekend, it sounds like, box office wise. I don't think it's good enough to like, let's theme an entire land around.
Well, and if you think about other things, like look at Coco, for example. Coco has been a very popular IP for quite a while. That came out years ago, and they've announced a Coco attraction, but they haven't even broke ground for the Coco attraction yet. So it's not like, ooh, it did great in the box office, we're going to put it in the park tomorrow kind of. It's a process. And as anybody that has any sort of insider knowledge for Imagineering and all that, these things, when they announce it to the public that it's going to happen, they've already been like developing it for years.
Yeah.
So even if this does kind of like spark something, it won't be for quite a while down the road that we'll see it come to fruition.
Yeah. And I don't think we need a second Marvel themed land.
No, I mean, I do like the thought process of putting Tomorrowland back into that kind of like,
me too,
60s version of the future, if you will. But I don't know if it needs to be, I like that idea, but I don't like it being tied to an IP, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that they could definitely just go with a mid-century modern aesthetic and put modern attractions or whatever in there. And the story of that land can be, because it's Walt's original park, that this was like Walt's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like you could sell it that way. And I think that's a successful way that specifically Disneyland can get out of this weird tomorrow is always now, basically.
Weekly tiers who are unable to visit Disneyland for the 70th anniversary celebrations have an alternate option. More Disney Plus POVs have been added to the collection. So there are now a total of 17 POVs on Disney Plus, all from Disneyland.
So when we were at the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet, I had brought my Vision Pro with us, and I was like, I'm curious to see if these look particularly cool, like inside a virtual, immersive environment. Spoiler alert, they are not like 3D or anything like that, but they are pretty cool to look at in that fashion. And I have not watched all of these. I've watched a couple of them because I was curious how they were going to film them. All of these seem to be filmed either before park opening in the morning or after park closing, so there's not like guests in them, which offers some really cool things like Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Like when you come out at the top, you look around and like it's kind of an empty park, which is kind of cool. It seemed like it's in the morning. It is light out, which was really cool. The sad part is they filmed this sometimes when things were not functional, which I am very surprised that Disney did, because Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Tiana animatronic at the end, not functioning 100%. Indiana Jones, the boulder at the end is not working properly. So I was very surprised that Disney allowed this to be officially on their platform when the attraction was not at 100%. Because when we were there, Indy was running 100%. So why would not just wait until there's a day it's working and then send the camera crew in?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So I think that's interesting. But I'm glad that they're doing this nonetheless.
The thing that I was going to say that I think is really cool is, of course, there's all sorts of folks online that have filmed their own ride-throughs and POVs through these attractions. So there's no shortage of ride-through POV footage out there for sure. But Disney's the only one that's able to do it, like you said, without other guests around. So you get to, instead of like having other guests either, like they're having fun, like I'm not saying that they shouldn't be doing this or anything, but say you have someone that's taller in front of you or someone that's having a super good time and they're like flailing their arms around or what, like that all is
or they're just commenting about how excited they are to be there.
Or they're talking or they're laughing or that all is then in the video. So
screaming.
Then maybe like for your POV, you're not able to hear as many things, or you also have an unobstructed view now with Disney going through and doing it in the mornings, we're assuming, or, outside of park operation hours. So that's really interesting. So I'm kind of curious to watch it, because even as a guest that has gone through and has experienced these attractions, myself, I'm probably either talking or looking off another. So I'm really curious to look at these as a seasoned guest as well, because this is the only time you're going to be able to experience these attractions without anybody else on. You know what I mean? Like, what a unique experience to do those without anyone else.
Yeah. There are a couple of interesting choices, shall we say. I did watch the Pixar Pal Around one. It is literally looking forward, doing it's not, they don't spend a lot of time looking out at anything, which is, I feel like, what you'd want from that. So I thought that was interesting.
But think of things like how, people have I don't know, ambiance type things going on in the background, like the crackle and fire. Like, I can see it as that. It's not the most thrilling thing to film and watch, but I could see it just having it on for the ambiance.
Where it's really successful, I think, is the lands. So the one that they have for Galaxy's Edge, it's done at night. You can really hear all the atmospheric music. They have characters walking around and you kind of come across and they are kind of talking to each other and stuff. And so those kind of things, I think it's really cool. I like that aspect of it a lot. So go watch these if you're a Disney Plus subscriber. And hopefully, if they get enough views, maybe they'll add even more attractions to it. And maybe for our Disney World fans, maybe they'll even add some Disney World attractions.
I was going to say, right now, the focus is on Disneyland because of the 70th anniversary. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have this kind of moved out and not just be Disneyland, have more attractions. The other thing that's super cool, that's a side note that is something that I think is helpful as someone who is a travel planner. how cool is this if you have, say, a child and you're not really sure maybe how they're going to feel about some things, like you shared your experience, how you guys went with your friends who had a little one, and you're like,
Didn't like storms.
yep, the little guy didn't like storms, and you had never realized how many attractions had storms in them until you went on attractions with that little guy. So, and that's something, again, that, we don't necessarily always think of as adults, like things that could be scary to younger ones that we just don't view that way because we know better. But that's the magic of Disney, right? It's very convincing. So maybe this would be a good way if your little one or someone is nervous about an attraction. I know I can think back to me, like when I was young, I was terrified of the Haunted Mansion. Would it have been better if I could have watched a video of it before actually being plopped in the middle of it? Maybe. I don't know. But same thing. I was afraid of the Matterhorn. Have I ever told you that? I talked myself out of having to go on the Matterhorn because I heard that there was an abominable snowman in there, and I was terrified. I was also terrified I was a very frightened child, apparently. I was also quite nervous about Indiana Jones because someone told me there was a snake. So if I could have, but I remember after seeing them, like going through and seeing them, you always build it up in your mind as to what it is versus what it actually is. So I just think this would be a great tool for that kind of a thing as well. Something that Disney probably didn't even consider, but could be helpful.
It's a good perspective on that for sure. Well, we are in the middle of summer with Halloween just around the corner, and Disney has already shown a sneak peek of the holidays at the Disneyland Resort. Mickey, Minnie, and the rest of their friends will sport a holiday spin on their 70th celebration outfits. Disney Festival of the Holidays is returning to Disney California Adventure from November 14th through January 7th, along with Disney Viva Navidad. World of Color Happiness, Tapestry of Happiness, and select 70th celebration festivities will continue throughout the holiday season.
This is so very fun. I just love the outfits. I think they're great. Minnie's little bow reminds me of like a present with like little, I don't know, corkscrew ribbons going off the side.
The scissors.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited. This is something, I don't know if this is new or if I'm just more aware of it because of social media, but there are so many talented and creative folks out there that will make their own versions of the character costumes. So I'm very excited to see what guest creations are so that they can go take their photo with the characters in their matching outfits, because these are pretty cool, pretty fun outfits, I think. Did you see your favorite? It's coming back, a Christmas Fantasy Parade.
It just won't die.
It's coming back. I was wondering what they were going to do, right? Because Paint the Night, they did announce, is going to be paused during the holiday season. And I was wondering if that was because a Christmas Fantasy Parade would be back. There must not be enough either space backstage or performers or something, but they don't seem to want to do two full-blown parades in one park anymore. Yeah. So that's a little
I wish they would do a
sad.
Christmas Fantasy during the day and Paint the Night at night.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. Or could you shift Paint the Night over to, I mean, that's a big ask, but shift Paint the Night over to
also
DCA so we can have all of the fun things.
Believe in Holiday Magic is like at least a 20-year-old, if not a 25-year-old show at this point. Like, I feel like they could have kept Wondrous too and like added like something new at the end or something. I don't know. I feel like in the next, maybe for the 75th, I want Disney to update their holiday offerings.
Well, and maybe that's the thing, is they're focused on the 70th offerings.
Sure.
So they didn't, maybe it's the non-big milestone years that we have to hope for these things to get a refresh.
Yeah.
One really exciting thing, it's like so nerdy, but so exciting, is the fun-themed meals that are coming specifically to storytellers. So there's a new character dinner experience, which is called Mickey's Christmas Carol Feast, which features Mickey, Minnie, we've got Scrooge McDuck, Clarabelle, and Goofy, but they are all in their costumes from A Christmas Carol. So you've got Mickey as Bob Cratchit, Minnie as Mrs. Cratchit, Scrooge, of course, as, well, Scrooge. But
Shocker.
I just think it's so fun. Like, I don't know. Like, Goofy in his little ghostly attire here is, I would, like, that, he is the reason that I would go to this. I just want to meet the ghost version of Goofy, because he's like, what, one of the Marley brothers?
Yeah. I'm excited for the Daisy's holiday pajama party because it's got Chip and Dale, Donald and Daisy, and Pluto. They do the breakfast and lunch, so opposite of the Mickey's Christmas Carol feast that's the dinner. So depending on which characters you want to see, Chip and Dale are some of my favorites, so I'm glad they got them there too.
It's so fun. And then the other fun thing too is they've already announced some good deals at the hotels at the Disneyland Resort. You can get 20% off on select stays of 3 or more nights at the Disneyland Hotel, Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, and the villas at the Disneyland Hotel. So all of the resorts minus Pixar Place. You can get extra discounts on too. Plus all sorts of fun as far as there's like teases for food and like cool things that are coming back to downtown Disney. The Ornament Trail is coming back, Chip and Dale's Ornament Trail. So you get to search for ornaments hanging from trees throughout the Disneyland or downtown Disney area. So it's one of those fun, like not hide and seek, scavenger hunt style games that, we enjoy. So yeah, lots of cool things coming for the holiday season.
As always.
Well, last week, the Disneyland and Disney Park social media accounts teased the new villain additions to Oogie Boogie Bash for this year. It appears, spoiler alert, Syndrome from The Incredibles will be joining, as well as the return of Maleficent to the party. These new additions will replace Oh, I don't want to report on that. Tag thinks that... I agree with Sid.
It's not that I am reporting this. This is what people have been reporting.
Well, this is speculation. There's nothing official from Disney, but the new additions appear to replace Sid, which I agree with. I'm not convinced on Madame Mim. People are speculating online that Madame Mim is going to be cycled out. I'm not convinced on that. I hope I'm wrong.
I think Teresa is just in denial.
Well, she's so good.
She is good, and so was Sid, but, stuff has to get rotated out.
Sid's been there from the beginning, though.
Sure.
So Sid made sense.
I mean, I think that they should have got rid of the guy they added from Big Hero 6, because his wasn't that exciting.
But who would you put back there instead?
I don't know. I'm just saying, you could put people different places.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was pretty obvious that it was going to be Syndrome, because part of his, outfit in the video, and for Maleficent it's just the green smoke and crows and stuff, and so that is the situation.
So, a bit more of a subtle hint for her.
But people were confused because Maleficent had been at Oogie Boogie Bash in the past, so they were like, oh, this isn't really a new person necessarily, this is a return. So it's always a fun time of year, right, to figure out who they're bringing in and doing stuff.
Hear me out.
Okay,
look at the backgrounds of each of these. So Syndrome, obviously his cuff is on Pixar Pier, but look at I'm rooting for my girl, Mim. That looks like it's the area behind Grizzly River Run, that trail.
It does.
I feel that's where she's going to go.
What's the deal with this? Isn't this is like Maleficent? Well, you're saying it just doesn't replace Mim.
Yeah. I still think it's Maleficent.
So you're just arguing the Mim
I think
point.
It's Maleficent, but I think Maleficent might be back in the Grizzly Peak airfield area. I don't think she'll be where she was originally, which is where Judge Doom is. I almost said Dr. Doom. That is the wrong villain, wrong studio. Well, I guess kind of the correct studio since it's Marvel. But anyways, wrong film. But she used to be there, kind of behind Soren.
Yeah.
I think that it looks to me like she's coming and going to be, we had more recently seen Mother Gothel back there.
Sure.
In the past, I think also the Evil Queen from Snow White had done a meet and greet treat trail back there.
I actually like that area for that.
I think that's where she'll be. I think that's where Maleficent's going to return. So I still am holding out hope for Madame Mim.
How do you feel about this? Maybe it's not human form Maleficent. Maybe they put it in that back area and they make it a dragon form.
We were talking about that in our Discord chat, because why tease the return of a character when when all they've been doing in the past is teasing new characters?
Well, in this video, this is see, you could read this a couple ways. You could read this as smoke coming around or whatever. But to me, it looks more like the bramble,
the thorn.
Thorns.
100%.
And so I'm to me, that sounds like it would be the dragon, because that's when the dragon shows up, right?
I feel like it's too soon for them to bring back a Maleficent dragon that is not going to be part of Fantasmic.
I mean, it wouldn't be on the level of Murphy, but it would be something cool like that. I think they could do that back there.
They could.
Yeah.
Because then it could be like, I don't know, like just off the trail, behind like the fence.
Yeah. Completely unrelated. Did you see this artwork that's in this article, too?
I did. I thought it was very interesting.
It's amazing.
I would love to see it in person because I'm sure photos of the new artwork that's for sale inside of the vault in the Disney Anna shop, they always have some like amazing and very, very expensive work of art here.
So this work of art is amazing. And the reason I like it is it's Walt's opening day speech, but it's done in that like Main Street, like old school kind of like poster.
It gives me vibes of like what the windows on Main Street look like. It's very, very
The downside, if you want this, there's only one, and it's $28,000.
And it looks very large because look at how big the opening, compared how big that is compared to the opening of
that's like 5 feet tall. Because this is like a door.
Yeah. Depending on the angle of how that was taken, it looks very, very large.
Yeah. Well, it's sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Anyway, $28,000. I was very
cool.
sad. If they sold prints of that, I would buy a print of that because I think it's really nice. Anyway.
Maybe one day.
Well, another addition has arrived at Downtown Disney. Nectar Life, a Bath & Body boutique, has opened next to the D-Lander shop. The new location offers bath products that look like yummy snacks. Examples are soap that looks like ice cream cones, cupcakes, and tropical beverages. There's also a first-of-its-kind customization bar where guests can create their own bath soaks and soaps.
These are so fun. We were talking about this. I don't remember where I was having this, who and where I was having this conversation with, and I was on this page, like, this is a really neat shop, but will it do well in Downtown Disney? Like, is this something that people are going to be thinking about purchasing while they're, enjoying a vacation to the Disneyland Resort? And someone made a really good comment that I had never thought of. They were talking about, because previously there was another bath store in Downtown Disney, and they would go and get like foot soak stuff, and so they would use the foot soak stuff after like a long park day. They'd go back to the hotel and like give themselves a little like nice relaxing foot soak to kind of help their tired feet so that they'd be ready to go again the next day. I'm like, I never thought of that, but that's a really great and really fun idea. But these are adorable. So some of you may know I made soap for a time, and this, like, the level of the decor and everything on here, this takes a lot of time and a lot of patience, and the fact that these look so perfect that they look like they're things you could eat is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I had to laugh because I was watching David from Fresh Bake's did you see his construction thing where he talked about this?
I didn't see that part, no.
He's like, Nectar Life opened. It wasn't open yet, but I couldn't bring myself to care about this, so I never went back to it.
Oh.
And
I mean, it's a very unique
kind of with him that it's unique, but it's not for me. Like, I'm sure it's pricey. I feel like for something like a soap and stuff, like, I don't feel like it's practical.
This is something like, it's kind of like the Paylay store that's in Downtown Disney. I am not the target audience.
Oh, me either.
For that store. And Love Pop even to an extent. Like, I wouldn't think to go to Downtown Disney to purchase these items, but I'm also not, a local and that frequents Downtown Disney, and I'm only in Downtown Disney. Actually, we weren't even in Downtown Disney at all during the last trip because we just stuck to the park. So vacationers and locals, experience the park and the resort differently. So this I'm sure this will appeal to the larger local audience more so than maybe it would appeal to vacationers. Because the other thing that's difficult too is if you're not staying at the Disneyland Hotel, this is quite a ways away from where the parks are.
Yeah.
It is very cute though. It's very cute stuff.
I will say,
probably smells delicious too.
This is not as expensive as I thought it would be, because I just went to their nectarlife.com website just to because I was curious like what the pricing for some of these things were, and they have a pineapple cupcake soap for $11. That's not bad.
I mean, it's very detailed and very like. Look at that, the little like tropical coconut soap that looks like it's in a coconut shell and like it looks like a nice tropical beverage that you could enjoy on a beach. $13. Again, these
Not
are
as bad
very
as I thought.
detailed looking things.
Yeah, not as bad. Oh, look at this little cat one. How much are these? Like, okay, so the ones that are like super detailed and large.
Yeah.
This one's very large. You know,
I mean, that looks like a cat. Like,
feel
even
like-
to the fact that
like the
it
fur
has
and
fur.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I think that when you take into account the detail and stuff, like it's priced well. I was thinking these were going to be like outrageously
Sure,
priced for
yeah.
what they were. Not too bad.
Like I
I'm
said,
impressed.
Those things take a lot of time and a lot of skill to put together to make them look so delicious.
So how do you think since you used to make soap, how do you think this customization bar works?
So to me, that looks like you're just kind of like you're just getting little bits of soap and you're layering them in a jar. I don't think you're making an actual jar
sure.
unless it's like a melt and pour type soap that then you can pick your colors and then they melt it down and you can like pour it into
I
a
didn't know
mold.
that it even worked that way.
Yeah. It could be. I'm
so-
curious to go check this out next time we're there just because handmade and homemade soaps are like a weird like hobby of mine. So I'm curious to go check this out just to see what cool things they're doing.
Yeah.
We have to get the snacks for Tag and Teresa and James and Bern. Oh, and Cinderella. Time for Snack Chat.
Well, in this week's Snack Chat, we have a foodie guide. Aren't you so excited and so shocked? This was perfect timing for us, though, because the foodie guide could have come out while we were away, but it came out just after we came back. In fact, it came out on Tag's birthday. We are just going to be going over the Halloween time foodie guide this week. Next week, we will go over the second foodie guide that was released. That's also for Halloween time, but it's like the Dia de los Muertos foodie guide, the Plaza de la Familia foodie guide.
Are we just covering the new stuff?
We can just cover the new stuff,
Okay.
yes, because otherwise we're going to be here for days and days
It's a
and
long
days.
foodie guide.
So, starting off in Disneyland at Alien Pizza Planet, what do we have that's new, Tag?
We have the Haunted Heat Wave Pizza,
That sounds right up your alley.
which is a spiced blush sauce topped with mozzarella and pepper jack, Italian sausage, classic and crispy cupped pepperoni, smoked bratwurst, and sliced
Whoa.
red Fresno chilies garnished with basil and hot honey drizzle. I would like to say that if anybody has never had a pizza with hot honey on it, it is very good. And it is not spicy.
I was
I
gonna
thought
say,
hot honey
look
was
at
spicy.
you.
Hot honey literally means like melted honey. So I would recommend that aspect of it.
Interesting. Well, also new, I might need to try this just because curiosity. Pumpkin spiced breadsticks. So breadsticks rolled in pumpkin spiced sugar served with a caramel cream cheese sauce. So it's not like it's a dessert. It's not like a breadstick like you'd think in a normal sense. It's more of a dessert. I'm just very curious about that.
Well, we're entering stuff that you really like because there is not a shortage of any type of drinks on this menu.
Lots of drinks.
At Bengal Barbecue, they have the iced pandan cooler that has brown sugar spheres and ube cold foam. And there's an iced pumpkin chai latte with brown sugar spheres and cold foam.
I'm going to be so caffeinated. I mean, the first one, the ice pandan cooler, does not have anything that should be caffeinated, and it's also non-alcoholic. But that chai latte, there's a lot of different chais, and there's a lot of different coffees
I'm
and cold
excited
brews.
because I like chai.
You do like chai.
So I think I might like this one.
There's a couple of chais, too. We'll get to them, though. Over at the Blue Bayou, there's a new plant-based roasted beet and citrus salad, crema, herbs, almonds, fennel, and poppy seed vinaigrette. Sounds refreshing. There's also a Dauberger cake, layers of pumpkin spice sponge, chocolate whipped ganache, and a salted caramel buttercream. Oh,
That looks really good in the photo.
it's beautiful.
Over at Cafe Daisy, we have a Clarabelle spicy chipotle pineapple lemonade. Apparently, this holiday or the Halloween season means spice.
Heat. It's scary, especially for you.
Yes. This has a Minute Maid zero sugar lemonade, chipotle pineapple syrup, and a chili lime seasoning topped with pineapple. And they also have a pumpkin tiramisu cold brew, which is Joffrey's French roast cold brew coffee with pumpkin and tiramisu syrups, tossed with whipped cream and chocolate and pumpkin powders, and a lady finger cookie.
I'm so excited about this. So right now at the Troubadour Tavern, they have a tiramisu cold brew that I really enjoyed. That may have been my favorite one of my favorite seasonal cold brews from the 70th anniversary. If you want to go back and listen, we did go through all the things that we got to eat and drink for the 70th. And that was one of my highest rated ones because unfortunately a lot of the other ones did not hit as well as this one. So I'm very, very excited about this. I think it's going to be delightful. Well, over at Cafe Orleans, I don't know if this is new, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. There's a sweet potato hummus. I don't remember this before, but it doesn't say new, so I very well could be wrong. But it sounds delicious. It's got lemon oil, pomegranate, sunflower seeds, and lavish. There's also a cherry cream soda. Yum.
This sounds good.
It does sound really good. Sprite, cherry syrup, and cream.
Over at
is what you'd think it would be.
Idlewild Snacks, there's a chicken Nicoise shaker salad, mixed greens, chilled chicken, hard-boiled eggs, green beans, cherry tomatoes, olive tapenade, and potato chips served with honey mustard dressing.
That is so
and the return of
interesting.
the Alpine Almond Delight, which never got a chance to try, but
Do you see the
good.
photo for this?
Yeah,
That Alpine Delight?
It's a rolled Danish filled with pastry cream and almond cream finished with sliced almonds. This sounds really good. I loved sliced almonds on things, so...
There you go. Over at the Galactic Grill, we have a haunted hound dog. It's quarter-pound all-beef hot dog on a brioche bun, topped with shredded cheese, shredded cheese, pickled mustard, bacon, and fried onions, served with your choice of a cuties, mandarin orange, or French fries.
Can I just celebrate the fact that they put this on what is almost a normal hot dog bun?
Isn't it just over in DCA award wieners that they don't
There's
use
been a couple
hot dog buns?
places because I was like, really? But anyway, yeah.
There's also, it doesn't say it's new, but I got to shout it out for tag, an iced pumpkin pie chai latte topped with pumpkin pie cold foam.
That could be good. Over at Good Boy Grocers. Where is Good Boy Grocers?
It's
is this
back
in
in
Toontown?
Toontown.
Okay.
It's the little, convenience shop, where the two gas pumps are.
There's a strawberry slushy, which is made with Fanta strawberry.
Ooh, that sounds refreshing. Moving on over to Harbor Galley. Ooh, we're going to have to try these. Fresh baked pumpkin cookies. And you can also get whipped cream cheese dip to go along with them.
Whipped cream cheese dip.
Like cream
like
cheese.
cream cheese
whipped
dip. Okay.
cream cheese dip.
Okay. For some reason, my brain was not
cheddar
connecting those
cheese
words together.
No.
At the Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree, there is a cherry cobbler funnel cake fries, which is cinnamon sugar dusted funnel cake fries, cherry pie filling, vanilla ice cream, and streusel. And there's a mint chip cold brew, which is mint chip ice cream, Joffrey's French roast cold brew, cream topper, and chocolate chips.
If anybody's wondering, our cold brew count is now up to 2. And our iced chai count is also up to 2.
I love that you're keeping a count.
I've lost count of all of the other delicious drinks, but delicious. I'm mint chip is my favorite kind of ice cream.
Me too.
So, and we all know that I love cold brew, so I have very, very high hopes for this mint chip cold brew.
Temper yourself so you don't...
I know. Well, over at the Jolly Holiday Bakery Cafe, we're going to find all sorts of delicious treats. We've got a pear cherry cheese crumble. So it's a pie shell filled with cheesecake, cherry filling, and spiced pears finished with sliced pears, streusel, and caramel.
That sounds really good, actually.
Yes, it does.
The other one that's not new, but is there, is the Joffrey's Pumpkin Cold Brew.
Look at that. There's another cold
Topped
brew
with
for
vanilla foam and spiced sugar. Not new, but it is there.
Yep, there's another cold brew for the count. I really have mixed feelings about this next one. I want to try it, but I'm not sure. Over at the Little Red Wagon, they've been doing all sorts of different lemonades. And for the Halloween time season, this picture is wonderful, by the way, because it looks like blood dripping down. The mango strawberry lemonade. It's Minute Maid lemonade infused with chamoy, strawberry syrup, and mango puree. And you can also get the chili cheese corn dog, which is a classic corn dog topped with spicy chili, jalapeno cilantro crema, cheddar cheese, and crispy onions, of course, served with cuties or potato chips.
This makes me wish I liked spicy food, because this actually sounds kind of... I love me some, chili cheese things, and this sounds like it'd be really good for that.
That would be...
Yeah.
I'm curious how spicy it is, because you've got a crema, which can help tame things down.
But it's also a spicy crema, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at Market House, we have a butter biscuit cookie, which is a butter cookie with chocolate butter spread drizzled with colored chocolate. This sounds interesting as well.
I'm going to shout these out. It doesn't say that they're new, but over at the Mint Julep Bar, we have pumpkin spice flavored Mickey-shaped beignets with a coffee caramel dipping sauce. And there's also a cranberry pomegranate mint julep. Yum.
Over at the Plaza Inn, there's a German chocolate pie, which is a flaky pie shell filled with layers of chocolate cake, chocolate cremo, and German chocolate filled topped with chocolate drizzle and chocolate curls. This is another one that I'd like to try.
Me too. They've got a couple of themed desserts. There's the returning poison apple cake, which is a red cinnamon cake with cream cheese. And there's a tombstone chocolate cake, which is a chocolate pound cake with whipped topping. I don't remember if we had that pound cake or if it was a different it was good. I don't think it was this one, but you and I have had a pound cake from there before and it was delicious.
I have to mention your reaction when we were looking at this earlier. The poison apple cake, you're like, that is not coming near me.
No.
Because it's too stainy.
It's so bright red.
Yeah.
It is so bright red. That's a lot.
And over at Rancho, which we love, there's a chick or treat molita, a cheesy blue corn tortilla with refried beans, chicken tinga, crema, cojita cheese, and spicy pickled onions served with tortilla chips.
There's a hibiscus pomegranate cooler, spiced hibiscus tea, pomegranate, and orange juices with honey.
Teresa will probably want to mention the fact that at Red Rose Tavern, even though it's not new, there's a pumpkin cheesecake cold brew.
Yum. Adding it to the count.
Riverbell Terrace, there is a Mississippi mud cake, which is a toasted marshmallows and candied pecans with vanilla ice cream. That is what's new there. There's also the pumpkin spice pancakes if you're interested in that too.
The Royal Street Veranda has a meatball slider made with Impossible meatballs, marinara sauce, and Parmesan cheese. So it is a plant-based offering.
You know who would eat this?
Vern's going to be all excited about this.
You know who else would eat this? James. James loves a meatball sandwich.
There you go.
So the producers can share. Well, I don't think they'll share because they both want their own.
There's also a roasted vegetable salad. This sounds really, really nice. Roasted Brussels sprouts, beets, butternut squash, yams, toasted almonds, pepitas, and burrata cheese topped with herbed balsamic vinaigrette.
Is that this?
Yes, that is what that photo is. I also just need to mention these. Again, maybe I'm losing it. Maybe we've gone through too many foodie guides at this point, but there's things on here that I'm like, I don't remember this. Coffee fritters, rolled in cinnamon sugar, drizzled with white mocha sauce, and garnished with praline sugar streusel. Those are available September 3rd through November 13th. And there's a pumpkin creme brulee cold brew. I definitely don't remember that. Maybe it's just because I haven't gotten to try it. But Joffrey's pumpkin creme brulee cold brew coffee, pumpkin spice creamer, and toffee chips. Yum.
At Stage Door Cafe, there's the Monster Funnel Cake. It's a green funnel cake with chocolate sauce, crumbled brownie, peanut butter candy pieces, and whipped cream.
Look at that crazy thing. There's a photo of it up there. I want to see it in person to see the green funnel cake.
Yeah.
The Golden Horseshoe has the Bride Sundae. It's brownie cake, vanilla ice cream, cookies and cream chocolate crumble, whipped topping, and chocolate sauce.
And Teresa's favorite place, the Troubadour Tavern, has a bulgogi potato, which has bulgogi marinated beef, gochujang mayo, and spicy cucumber and green onion. There's also a trick-or-treat popcorn, which is topped with a mix of M&Ms, milk chocolate candies, candy gummy worms, pretzel sticks, and candy corn.
I think I spied that same trick-or-treat popcorn is available at Maurice's Treats as well.
Now we're getting into Vern's going to be very excited.
Churros! We're on to churros at Disneyland. Again, we haven't even made it out of Disneyland and over to DCA just yet. So, churros near the Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. We have a chocolate churro with a creamy peanut butter dipping sauce. The chocolate churro is just a classic churro rolled in chocolate-flavored sugar.
The churro cart near Casey Jr., we have a caramel apple dipping sauce. So basically diced apples with cinnamon and caramel sauce. They actually add stuff into this one. It's not just a sauce.
Churros back by the Haunted Mansion. There's a straw batty churro. This is a strawberry-filled churro rolled in... This is new. Strawberry-filled churro rolled in chocolate cookie dust and drizzled with cream cheese sauce, topped with a chocolate bat. That's definitely happening.
To be clear, what I meant by new was filled. We haven't really had a filled churro before. At the Sleeping Beauty Castle and Town Square churro carts, there's a citrus churro, which is a churro tossed in citrus orange sugar. And that comes with, you can also get a blueberry lemon dipping sauce, which is a vanilla frosting mixed with blueberry compote.
I got all sorts of happy and excited for you tag until I read the first word. Popcorn near Star Trader. Spicy pickle popcorn. You've been on a pickle kick, so I thought maybe you'd be excited about some pickle popcorn, but not so much the spicy. This is popcorn tossed with crushed hot cheese puffs, aka hot Cheetos, and dill pickle seasoning.
This is interesting. So you didn't know this, but we went out to eat with some friends the other night, and James got the pickle pizza. So I think it's maybe just a Bushman thing that we're doing or whatever. At the Small World Promenade pretzel cart, there's a caramel apple dipping sauce, which is the same as for the churros up above that we talked about earlier. And at the Star Tours pretzel cart, there is a jalapeno cheese sauce, which is new.
Now, moving on to Disney California Adventure. Angry Dogs.
As if we're not full enough.
Yeah, as if this is why I'm thankful that we're going to be in the Halloween season for a week. So, Angry Dogs. So that's back on Pixar Pier. They have a hot pickle. Again, almost tag. But
so is that different than like the spicy pickle that they used to offer?
I wonder if it's like if there's spicy and there's hot. Maybe it's two different levels or something. Because I don't think it's temperature, right? Like I don't think they're serving up warm pickles.
Yeah. At Aunt Cass's Cafe, there's a chicken pot pie soup, which is a chicken pot pie in a bread bowl with crispy fried egg roll wrappers. That sounds interesting. A caramel apple bread pudding, which I'm on board for. Comes with caramelized apples, whipped topping, and caramel sauce. And a cinnamon apple cold brew, if you're keeping track, which is Joffrey's caramel cold brew with apple cinnamon foam and apple cereal dust. I like the idea of the apple cinnamon foam on this one.
I'm curious about this one. I don't think I've ever had a cinnamon apple cold brew before. Well, over at Award Wieners, their new item is the Spell Bar. It's a batter fried Snickers bar on a stick with chocolate drizzle, whipped topping, and roasted peanuts.
I might have to try this. Like, it's a heart attack on a stick, but sounds really good. There's also at Award Wieners, there's some new alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, there's Brewery X Baja Breeze, Maui Brewing Company, OMG IPA, and Modelo Especial.
At Bayside Brews, there's a Brewery X Spice Sangria Seltzer, a Golden State Jamaica Cider, a Rinkin Reservation Road Res Dog Hefeweizen, and a watermelon pineapple margarita, which is tequila, watermelon schnapps, and pineapple juice with a chili lime seasoned rim.
Back at Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta, there's the spicy pasta pizza. So it's not pizza and pasta. It's like pasta with pizza for this version. But it's got andouille sausage, ditalini pasta, tomato and vodka cream sauce with fresh basil. You can get it as a slice or a whole pizza. There's also, for a dessert... Oh, interesting. Okay, we'll get there. Stay focused, Teresa. For dessert, there's apple bundino, which is a cinnamon bundino tossed with caramelized apple filling, apple cider reduction, oatmeal streusel, and vanilla bean chantilly. There's
sounds good.
Also, this was what got me, frozen marble drip coffee. So frozen Joffrey's French roast cold brew coffee drizzled with oat milk and sweetened condensed milk.
Do you see how this is being presented, this like cup it's in?
Yeah, I don't
really
think that's what it's actually going to look like when you get it from Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta.
Maybe not.
Because that's like a fancy glass.
Not new, but I don't know if you want to put this on there, but at the cappuccino cart, they have a peanut butter mocha
one
cold brew.
Is good. That one is so good. If you have a chance to try that cold brew, do it. You would like that one. We need to have you try that one because it is like...
You just want me to try it so you can drink it.
No, it's one of those. It's very sweet, but not overly sweet like some of the ones that we had this last trip. It's like a peanut butter Reese's peanut butter cup in a like liquid form.
But it's not too bitter with the coffee? Okay.
No, with the mocha, it like a mocha kind of... So a mocha, like when you're ordering coffee, a mocha latte is basically chocolate milk with espresso.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah.
Well, at Corn Dog
so
Castle,
that's coming back.
They have a fried elote corn on the cob, which is a whole corn cob dipped in batter and fried to golden brown, drizzled with chipotle aioli and topped with chili lime queso fresco.
Wow.
And cilantro served with cuties mandarin orange or a small bag of chips. That thing looks pretty good, actually.
Wow. Over at the Cozy Cones, we're going to start in Motel 1. There's a pumpkin pie churro. Classic churro top with pumpkin cream and pie crust pieces.
You should have been keeping track of how many churros there were.
You can wash that down with a pumpkin creme brulee cold brew. So Joffrey's pumpkin creme brulee cold brew with pumpkin sauce topped with cold cream foam. Yum. See, this is what wasn't there pumpkin creme brulee cold brew in Disneyland and it said it wasn't new, but here it's saying it is new? I'm getting myself confused.
At Cozy Cone 4, they have the Mother Earth Brew Cali Screamin' Pumpkin Vanilla Cream Ale and a Tarantula Hill El Rey Salt and Lime Mexican Lager. They also have a Watermelon Michelada, which is an alcoholic beverage, and an Unsung Brewery Poison Apple Seltzer. That one might be good. I like that kind of stuff.
And Cozy Cone Motel 5, the pop cone, you can get barbacoa sope. So it's fried sope with barbacoa, chorizo, lettuce, queso, crema, and salsa roja.
That's this, right? This looks pretty good.
Yes, it does look very delicious.
Flo's V8 Cafe, there is a Seaborn Blackberry Margarita, which is a blackberry margarita with chili lime and black salt rim.
Over at the Hollywood Lounge, all sorts of adult beverages are new here. I just really appreciate the names. First from the Belching Beaver, we have the Phantom Bride IPA. There's also a Haunted Horchata cocktail, which is horchata with rum chata and cinnamon whiskey. There's Keg Craft Berry Sangria, Two Town Cider House Hollow Jack Pumpkin Cider, Two Town Cider House Mango Cosmic Crisp Cider, 21st Amendment Brewery Citrus Wheat Ale. Those are all the new ones.
Over at the Lamplight Lounge, they have an herb roasted chicken, which is a turnip puree, rainbow carrots, and chicken jus with it. There's also a Thai seafood pasta, which is a Thai curry chiopino, coconut, steamed clams and mussels, shrimp, pan-seared fish, spaghetti, sourdough breadcrumbs, crispy shallots, Thai basil, cilantro, and a lime wedge. This sounds good. And
again, this might just be because I'm getting old.
That looks good.
But there's also prime rib available at the Lamplight Lounge. Herb salt crusted with whipped potatoes, grilled rainbow carrots, wasabi cream, and au jus. It doesn't say it's new, but I don't remember it, so maybe others don't remember it as well. So we're going to name it off.
They also have the Gamecraft Marzen, which is this is like an alcoholic beverage? What is this? I think it's an alcoholic beverage because it's also at the lounge. Yep.
The Lucky Fortune Cookery has a seasonal Baymax macaron, which is so cute. It's Baymax in his red armor is what it looks like if you're wondering what's different. But it's filled with ube cream and salted caramel chocolate crunch pearls. Ooh, that sounds good too.
At outdoor vending locations, we've got a jalapeno cream cheese bread. We've got a pumpkin spice cream cheese bread. We have a blackberry cotton candy. We have an Oogie Boogie chocolate chip cookie. We have a Bottle Logic Brewing Quarktoberfest Fest Beer Lager.
Oh, that's funny.
And a Study Break Blackberry Smash Seltzer.
The Port of San Francisco Cerveceria has Carl Strauss Brewing Company Carlitos Mexican Lager, which is new. The PIM Tasting Lab has a Carl Strauss Oktoberfest.
And at the Pim Test Kitchen, there is the Asgardian Apple Cold Brew, which is Joffrey's Caramel Cold Brew, Green Apple Cold Foam, and caramel sauce with a caramel apple lollipop.
Do you remember those? Do you remember having those when you were a kid? Those caramel apple suckers?
I love them.
They were so good. There's also, never mind, it's not new. See, I'm losing it, I think. There's so many cold brews, I've lost count, in track in all of the lists, because I don't remember this. A blueberry matcha ice latte. Matcha latte top with blueberry cold foam and blueberry popping spheres.
All right, get your
looks so fun.
Diabetes in check.
Schmoozies is showing some love to the villains here. We have Ursula Enchanted Waffles. They're dark chocolate Mickey-shaped waffles filled with ube custard and dusted with powdered sugar. And you can also get the Evil Queen apple shake. So it's matcha apple shake with whipped topping.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
They have a Castellum Ciders Ube Cider, a Latitude 33 Brewing Honey Hips Ale, a Seaborn Wildberry Lime Margarita, and a Unsung Brewing Company Mimosa Hard Seltzer.
And if you think we were finished, we're not. Smoke jumpers. We have buffalo chicken loaded onion rings topped with buffalo chicken, blue cheese, ranch, carrot ribbons, and green onions. There's also a bear paw basin cold brew, Joffrey's pecan cold brew, salted maple cold foam, caramel drizzle, and waffle pieces. It's like breakfast in a cup.
I know what you're getting.
There's also a boo berry shake, which is a blackberry shake with whipped cream, chocolate cookie dust, orange sprinkles, and fresh berries.
There's a caramel pecan Irish cream cold brew cocktail, which is Irish cream liqueur, Jeffrey's pecan cold brew, salted maple cold foam, caramel drizzle, and waffle pieces. So if you want to get a little bit of booze in your other thing,
booze with your cold brews.
Yeah. Carl Strauss Aurora Hoppy Alice. I guess now that was
kind of like Aurora Borealis Hoppy Alice.
Oh, okay.
Clever.
At Studio Catering Company, there's the Oogie Boogie Burrito, which is carne asada, French fries, spicy blue tortilla chips, pico de gallo, guacamole, and crema. Ooh. There's also the Oogie Boogie Splash, which is a house-made watermelon agua fresca with chili lime seasoning.
Over at the Wine Country Trattoria, there is a raspberry creme brulee tart, which is also plant-based. I don't see a picture of that, which I'm very curious what that looks like. However, it's that time again. It's churro time.
Oh, more churros.
More churros.
At Terran Treats, there's the Celestial Chocolate Churro, which is a churro rolled in cocoa sugar, topped with pistachio cream, chocolate sauce, crispy phyllo dough crumbles, and crushed pistachios. Oof.
The churros at Hollywoodland is a Halloween Town Mare churro. So, like the mayor from Halloween Town from Nightmare Before Christmas. Classic churro rolled in graham cracker sugar with marshmallow cream and a chocolate drizzle.
This sounds like a s'mores
kind of, yeah.
Churro, which I'm excited to about.
I do need to note the peanut butter marshmallow churro, aka the Fluffer Nutter churro, is back for the Halloween time season. You can find that back at the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail churro cart.
We'd be here all night if we covered all the rest of the stuff that they have at the hotels.
There's even more new fun offerings at the hotels, including other coffees and cold brews. And
check out the link in the show notes.
so many delicious things. All sorts of treats, of course, coming to the Grand Californian Hall cart, including Halloween gingerbread skeleton cookies. I think it's so funny that the gingerbread cookies made such an impact during the wintertime holidays that they're creeping into the other holidays to enjoy as well. Exactly. Why not? Well, we hope you enjoyed that fun, quick, not so quick tour of the new Halloween foodie guide. If anybody was trying to count, I had 5 cold brews in Disneyland and 6 cold brews in DCA with one that was another latte type drink. And there was I think it was only 2 chais total. So not as high of a chai count.
I got 2 things I can try.
So many different delicious treats and coffees. I don't know if our savory list matches the drinks and coffees list, but lots of delicious things to try for sure. Well, our friends over at All Enchanting Ears have been busy. They make fun and unique ears, plus ears holders, straw toppers, lithophane, and more. They are offering a special discount code available to all weekly tiers. Use code DLWeekly15 for 15% off your entire purchase. Head on over to allenchantingears.com to check them out.
Your attention, please. DL Weekly Trivia is now leaving for a Grand Circle tour of the Magic Kingdom, with stops at New Orleans Square, Mickey's Toontown, and Tomorrowland. All weekly tiers for...
Welcome to Trivia Land, where we have some awesome listener-submitted questions, a couple new names, and some great stuff here all lined up for you. Tag and Teresa, are you ready to go?
As long as you don't ask us the people's names.
People,
what do you mean?
Listeners? There's a couple new names.
Oh.
So if he's what are the names of the new people?
What are the names of the new listeners that submitted?
Yeah, exactly.
That was your first question.
That'd be a challenge.
Nah, I can't do that one.
Okay. All right. Well, your first listener submitted question from listener Krista M. Near the Royal Theater is a store called Fairy Tale Treasures. Above the building with Fairy Tale Treasures, on the tallest steeple, there is a plaque with the letters CPG. What do those letters stand for?
Oh, Carnation Plaza Gardens. It's a throwback.
yes, that's right, because that's where they... I wish I had a time machine, so that'd be one of the things I'd like to go experience, because that was like a... No, like, experience it.
Oh, like when they did dances and stuff there?
Yeah. When they used to have, like, live bands and dances, I think that's where the Disney nerd famous Walt with, like, the Matterhorn hat eating popcorn, was it?
That might have been around there.
He's back in that area. Anyways, yeah, Carnation Plaza Gardens. I've never noticed that that's there.
Me either. I thought he was going to ask a question about the store, hunt. And I'm like, all I know about that store is that it is there. Because I walk by it on the way to the restroom, and I'm like, oh, there's a store there. I don't think I've ever literally stepped foot into it.
You probably wouldn't, because it's more geared to, like, the smaller folks that are coming out of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. So there's like a little
photos
there's
and
like
stuff,
a little
right?
carriage that they can take photos with and stuff. I don't know if there's like general merchandise in there per se. I think it's more part of like the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique experience, or an extension of that experience.
Okay.
All right, so Carnation Plaza Gardens, final answer?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Your second listener-submitted question from listener Chris Y. From 1955 to 1974, the Disneyland Railroad had a sponsor. Who was it?
Wasn't it like...
Santa Fe Railroad.
I was going to say, wasn't it like a railroad company, Santa Fe?
Because it was the Santa Fe and Disneyland Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if there's a follow-up question...
I didn't realize it was that long.
Just
into
like
the 70s.
if there's a follow-up question, it was the Disneyland Alweg monorail system.
Yes. Everything had a sponsor.
Yep.
So is that your entire answer, the Santa Fe Railroad?
Oh, there's more?
Well, the name of the railroad was the Santa Fe and Disneyland Railroad, but I think like the Santa Fe Railroad Company or whatever is what sponsored it.
I don't know the name of the whole railroad.
So that's how you're saying it, the Santa...
Yeah, we're just going to go with that, because I know you're trying to give us a hint, but I'm not picking it up.
Okay, so you're saying Santa Fe Railroad.
Yeah.
Okay. Final answer.
Yeah, because they merged with a bunch of places later, but I don't know if that was when... Because I think it was just Santa Fe during the 50s. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. Your third listener-submitted question, staying on the subject of Disneyland Railroad, Cooper C. wants to know... The Disneyland Railroad has 4 steam locomotives named after 4 former presidents of the Santa Fe Railroad. Can you name the years that they served as presidents of Santa Fe?
Man, I was going to be all sorts of proud of myself if we could even name the 4.
What are the 4, Teresa?
Well, I started with, what is it, the Ernest P. Marsh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ernest
S. Marsh?
I don't know. Ernest Marsh.
Okay.
We're iffy on the middle name.
Okay.
Ernest Marsh.
The E.P. Ripley.
E.P. Ripley.
The C.K. Holiday.
I was going to say there's a holiday one.
Mm-hmm.
C.K. Holiday.
Oh, and Cooper C. did write in, bonus if you know what C.K. and E.P. stand for.
Oh, well, that's...
Their first names.
E.P. is Ernest P. Yeah. C.K. is, I don't know.
Charles.
E.P. Ripley, Ernest. I think it's the Ernest S. March, because it'd be otherwise it'd be 2 kind of things. Sure. And then there was the... What's the one that was the new one? That it was named after an Imagineer person from like... Because it got put on the things at 2005.
I don't know. I was proud of myself for getting as far down the track. Because
there's 5 locomotives total, isn't there? Because there's the 4 presidents, originals. And then there's the one, I don't know why I keep thinking Gardner Holt. It's not Gardner Holt. It's, I know.
Harper Goff.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
I don't know if there's a Harper Goff railroad.
Who was the person who did trains with Walt and got Walt into trains?
You know, it's bad. We just talked about him at he was an animator, and we just talked about him at the Mouse Meet.
And he is?
Because he's a caricature in the little film.
Sure.
That John Musker just put out. Oh my God.
And he is?
What is his name? I feel like such a bad Disney fan for not being able to recall this name right now.
We can't always remember everything. The E.P. Ripley, the Ernest Marsh, the C.K. Holiday, the...
Ward Kimball,
yep, was the new one, was the one from 2005.
That's the name.
But that's not the president. That's just Ward Kimball.
And I don't know what the...
Yeah, I think we're stumped on the fourth.
We didn't even
president.
answer the actual The actual question was years.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin.
And we don't have that. So we just answered the best we could with the names we could remember.
Vern, I don't think
I am
that
so sorry.
Cooper.
I am so
C.
sorry, Cooper. This was that was a fantastic stumper of a question.
I don't even think that knowledge has passed in front of my eyes before.
I'm sure I've read it somewhere at some point.
Anyway.
So officially, your answer is stumped.
Well,
no, we've got the names for
trying to
bonus.
save
The
face.
question was, can you
I
name
know.
the
Yeah, so
years
stumped
they
for
served
the
as
names.
But the
presidents?
bonus was name what EP and CK's
Oh,
for.
yeah,
so we
never
didn't do
mind.
that.
So,
No, we're
so
stumped.
officially, your answer is you're
Yeah,
stumped.
we have no answer.
We're
but-
all out of steam on this one.
But we gave it a real good
Nice.
try.
All out of steam.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, you may recall that 2 weeks ago I asked which ride has the highest rider capacity per hour.
Oh no.
Listener Cassie W. wants to know, what ride at Disneyland Resort has the least rider capacity per hour?
It's gotta be something like Dumbo or the teacups. Oh no. You know what it probably is? Casey Jr.
Casey Jr. is pretty small
But you're thinking per hour.
per hour.
So it's not just how
Dumbo
many
is
can you fit on it, it's how
Dumbo
quickly
is
can you
very
turn it
small.
over.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think like what takes longer. Like what
Yeah, but you fit more people
oh, there's
on.
also the Astro Orbiter too.
Yeah, both of those things are.
And it's like something you get in like a vehicle type attraction, not like a because sometimes we're
We're not talking about the Main Street vehicles, are we?
Oh, that's a good point too.
No.
Okay. Well, we got to also remember California Adventure. Monsters Inc. has a pretty low capacity.
But at least it
Cycles.
cycles and it's going. Okay, can we get a hint as to which park it's in?
DCA,
Emotional
which
Whirlwind?
if you would have turned around, I
Oh,
was signing that
Emotional
to you.
Whirlwind
Yeah.
is a good one.
I think Emotional Whirl.
Jumpin'
I-
Jellyfish.
Oh, there's a lot of really low ones over there, isn't there? Because like Mater's, if both turntables are going, that's and same thing like Luigi's is the other.
Jumpin' Jellyfish. Each tower holds, I think, either 6 or 8 guests at a time, and it goes for 2 or 3 minutes or whatever. Maybe 2 minutes. And there's
The
2
Zephyr's
towers.
definitely bigger. Like, you
And I
can
think
put
Goofy
more.
Sky School cycles a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah, yeah,
faster. I'm gonna say Jumpin' Jellyfish for my answer.
Trying to think of how many little things are on the Emotional Whirlwind.
Like 6 or 7, and they hold 4 potentially. Like each vehicle can hold 4.
I think I'm gonna go with Emotional Whirlwind,
Okay.
and Tag's gonna go with Jumpin' Jellies.
All right. So Teresa's saying emotional whirlwind, and Tag's not jumping on her wind. He's jumping on his own jellies.
I'm jumping on the jellies. She's in an emotional whirlwind.
Yep. All right. Final answers.
Yes,
Alrighty.
final
Yes.
answers.
I'm just thinking because I feel like maybe I've forgotten something, but yeah, we'll say that.
Okay. And your bonus question tonight from listener Ezekiel. What date, and not just the year, I want the whole date, was the opening of Small World at Disneyland?
Ooh, at Disneyland. 67? No.
66.
66 because Walt was still
Yeah.
alive.
It was 66, but when?
1966.
You want the month and the day?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez.
Oh, Ezekiel
I
is a
feel-
stickler for the details.
I feel like it was like November or something.
See, I was thinking November as well, but Walt wasn't... The last photo of him in the park was taken because that was the last time he was
Yeah.
in the park. So that was before November.
Was that the last time he was in the park or the last photo of him in the park? I know for sure last photo in the park, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it was also the last visit.
It's a good question. I'm just going to stay safe on that one. See, I was thinking November, but then I feel like then that would be 65. I mean, it was the World's... I mean, they took it from the World's Fair. When did the World's Fair
but
end?
they had to build the different track, didn't they? It's a different...
But they could have done that when they were anticipating
I
it
suppose.
coming. Maybe it was 1965. Wait, didn't it just have a...
64, 65.
No, but didn't the It's a Small World attraction have an anniversary? And then was that the anniversary of it at Disneyland? Or was that the anniversary in general?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how they determine. I'm sticking with 66.
Ezekiel, you're really
These are good.
stumping us here. But it's a bonus question. I'm going to say November 14th, 1965.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't think that's right, but that's what I'm going to throw out there.
And Teresa?
I think I'm sticking with 66.
Okay. But what day, what month and day?
I don't know.
July 9th.
No, not July 9th. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to go on that, though. We're going to go July 17th,
July
Oh.
1966.
July 17, 1966. Final answer.
Yeah, it's as good as we're getting.
All right. So that was November 14th, 1965, and July 17th, 1966. Locking it in.
That's a good guess.
All
Locking it
right. Well, listeners, how do you think Tag and Teresa did? How did you do listening at home? If you stick around until after the discussion topic, we can all find out together.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, we are talking about our wonderful experience that we had at the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet in Linwood, Washington, that was directly after the 70th anniversary.
This is a super wonderful event. I've been fortunate to have attended once before, so this was my second ever mouse meet. However, this was Tag's first ever mouse meet. So Tag, before we get into all the details of the weekend, what was your overall impression of the festivities?
I was blown away by the entire event. I thought that Don and his team, Don Morin, who runs the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet, and his team did a wonderful job. Teresa was talking about when she had gone on the podcast, last year or 2 years ago, at this point, 2 years ago, about like how great the location was, like the hotel, like how the space that they were in and how good they do things. And it was fantastic. I laughed because when we got here, there was some discussion of us going out and like eating or getting a drink somewhere else. And I said, my plan is to not leave this building for the next 2 days. And we basically did that, which was wonderful. And it was just great. And I want to say personally, a big thank you from both of us to Don. He was gracious as always. He even gave the podcast a shout out on the last day, which he did not need to do, but I'm so glad. And he's such a humble, generous,
Just a very
beautiful
kind soul.
individual.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that Don, because, I'm sure Don listens to this occasionally, that he realizes that. And I've said that to his face too, because he did a really great job. And his brother was here too. I kept seeing him around and I'm like, that's not Don. They look similar enough though, so that was funny. But it was a wonderful, wonderful event. And Teresa, I'm so glad that you came up to this 2 years ago and spoke so highly of it, because it was great. It was great.
So, from the beginning, so we flew in on Friday, which was Friday the 18th, so the day after the 70th celebration, flew up to Seattle, came up to Linwood, and got ourselves checked into a hotel. We snagged a room at the hotel that the event was happening at, because that's something that's actually important to do if you ever come up to the Mouse Meet, because there are so many different activities that happen Friday night, of course, the main event all day Saturday, and then more stuff even on Sunday occasionally that kind of all tie into the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet. So Friday night, the big thing though is the room decorating contest. There was a really wonderful themed dinner that you have the option to join if you'd like. And it was Bengal barbecue themed. So the hotel restaurant here worked alongside the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meat to recreate some wonderful, tasty dishes from the park that most people, I don't know anybody that doesn't like. Somebody will probably email in now, but I don't know anybody that doesn't enjoy Bengal barbecue.
The hotel did a great job.
And the whole theming of the weekend was like Adventureland theme. So I'm going to take a step back because when you first walked into the lobby, you were greeted by not the full boat, but the full front end of a Jungle Cruise boat that you could steer. It had levers and buttons. It even had a little microphone so you could give your own Jungle Cruise spiel to the world if you wanted. We were really silly and don't do this, don't ever do this, and we should know better. The first night that we saw it, we were like checking it out. I took photos of just the display, and I turned to Tag and said, "Oh, we should take photos with it." And he said, "Oh, we got all weekend." Well, guess what we didn't do?
You
but
still
that's
took
just how it
pictures.
goes. Yeah, but we didn't take pictures like in it kind of thing. But anyway, so that's how it goes. So it's like Disneyland. If you see something, you just got to just do it at that point because it's hard sometimes to make time to come back later. But the dinner was really, really delicious. We both had the Bengal beef with the sweet Zulu sauce. Very generous portion. It came with a side of mac salad, rice, of course, the beef, the sauce. We also opted to get a piece of pineapple upside down cake to share.
Which was really good. Yeah, that was really good. So they have a kind of, Teresa explained it a couple years ago, but to kind of go over it again. So the hotel, all the rooms are kind of surrounding, there's kind of 5 floors surrounding the open atrium, and the atrium is kind of split into 2. And on one side is where like food and everything happened. There's also where you had meet and greets later in the weekend. And then on the other side was kind of the presentation space. So when we first got there, we made it in, we checked in, put our stuff in our room and everything. And then we went to trivia because kind of is like a thing to just kind of warm people up for the weekend. There was some Disney trivia. Not only was there Disney trivia, but there was also Name That Tune, which was kind of fun because if you successfully named the tune, you could stay in the line. But if you were unsuccessful, you had to go back to your seat. So it was kind of like whoever could outlast the most rounds of Name That Tune. And I will tell you, as someone who is mostly a Parks fan and has not seen all of the movies, some of the songs were very challenging, at least for me. But there were some people who did a really good job with that and trivia.
I'm trying to remember what our score ended up being for. We did not win, spoiler alert.
It was challenging.
Overall trivia. It was really good, though. There was different sections. I'm just quickly looking back at photos here. We had like where you had to guess the shadows, so it was shadows of different characters. The other one was a list of names, and you had to say if they were male or female characters.
That was really hard.
There was what's missing, so it was a picture of a character that, like, the first one was like Jiminy Cricket, and it was him without his hat. So there was some that were obvious, some that were a little bit more discreet, but you had to name what was missing from the character. There was Today in Disney History that was like, what happened. And it was actually all stuff that happened on July 18th, but you had to try and name the year. And then there was just it was 50 questions of multiple choice. So this was a very, very intense game of trivia. We ended up with I don't remember, it's 87 points, I think. And the winner was I don't remember, it was less, 110, 112, something like that.
I was too busy not paying attention to the trivia. I was talking with one of the weekly tiers who showed up, and that's another thing we'll talk about quite a lot probably during all of this is how many different weekly tiers were able to make it to this event.
So trivia went from 7, and it looks probably until about 8:30, and then after that we got to do one of the coolest things of the Mouse Meet, which is fan driven, really, and it's the door decorating contest. And I feel like I showed Tag, of course, photos and videos from the first year that we went, and holy buckets, I know it's only been 2 years, but it must just be growing exponentially each year because there was so many very intricate displays that you could just tell took hours and hours of plan and prep to put it in place in the hotel, but also just to pull it all together. We talked to a couple of different mouse meters to ask, how many hours did it take for you to put this door together? And we'll give some specific examples of, so there was one that was like a Christmas display. And they ended up, so how the hotels are situated is there's a front seating room and then there's like a back bedroom. So it's a suite. So you've got 2 separate spaces. They took all of the furniture out of the front seating room, which we're actually sitting in our hotel room right now. So I'm looking at exactly what furniture they had to move. There is a big sectional couch that folds out into a bed that's in this room. There's a TV stand TV. There's a desk. There's chairs. There's 2 end tables, lamps. There's a lot of furniture in this room. And they moved it all out of this room and they stashed it all in that back bedroom and turned their front space into a winter wonderland.
It was really impressive.
I'm like, the display was impressive, but I'm also just crazy impressed with the dedication of moving furniture and then like Tetrising it in the back bedroom to get it all to fit. But they told us that they spent, because we asked just set up, how long did it take you to set this up? And they had checked in the day before, and it was a total of 8 hours the first day, and then another 3 to 4 hours the day of the door decorating contest for them to set it up in its place.
Yeah. So some of the other doors we saw, we won't go into crazy detail with everybody, but there was one that was Princess and the Frog themed, and she was giving out gumbo outside the door.
And hurricanes.
And then inside, she had like a Dr. Facilier table with tarot cards you could get, and it was all blacklight and really cool. There was a wonderful, it took them, we talked to them a little bit later, they're actually Weekly Tiers. They made a Tron, they 3D printed a bunch of things to make their door into a Tron thing where you'd put a 3D printed coin in, and it would light up and do all of the stuff. And it was crazy because they were telling us like how many, it took them multiple days to print all of the things and then do all the cabling and the programming, and it was very detailed and a lot of work, but it looked really great. So shout out to them since they're Weekly Tiers.
There was a Haunted Mansion themed window that
of course there was. Had
the wallpaper as the curtains on either side of the window. They had a projection of the Hatbox Ghost. They have the little, let me out of here guy trying to escape his coffin, as well as Madame Leota, which was super cool. What was another one that we really liked the Coco themed room.
Yeah, the Coco theme room was cool. They had an ofrenda outside that doubled as identified the people in the photos, and it was like Walt and Lillian and different Imagineers and stuff. So that was really cool. Yeah, and then inside, like you would look into the computer, and they would decide if somebody has you on their ofrenda, and they'd give you some candy and stuff. So that was really, really cute. There was one I want to shout out to the kids that were part of this. So there was a like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs one where you're going into the mine. And the 2 kids inside that were having people search the gems for ones that had hidden Mickeys on them. And if you found 2 of them, they'd give you like a little gift or whatever. But they were like a comedy duo between the 2 of them, which I thought was really, really funny.
So those were like the intricate displays. There was other folks that just had like...
Main Street. You didn't talk about the Main Street.
Yeah, there was a Main Street display, which I tried to go back later because it was very popular, because it was very cool. But they had like... There was a little, they had made their own little roasty toasty. So those are the little, if you ever visit one of the popcorn carts, those are what the little characters that are spinning the popcorn cylinders are called. They're called roasty toasties. They have their own little roasty toasty. They have their own windows, like for people, like they do on Main Street. There was a garbage can. They had the old phone, or if you picked it up, you could hear, people on the party line talking about stuff. Anyway, it was cool. They were handing out popcorn. Mm-hmm. There was mini cupcakes. Very, very well done. There was another one that we really enjoyed. That was Alice in Wonderland themed. The cupcakes just
They had macarons on the outside.
And so this was the cool thing about that one. So they did an exterior, and you'd walk into their front room space for the Alice in Wonderland themed one. So to get in, you ate one of the macarons. So you then shrunk down to the, Wonderland size, I guess. And then to leave, they had little shots of pink lemonade, the drink me, so that you could grow back to your proper size to be able to leave Wonderland.
But they also had cupcakes in there you could eat as well. And yeah, it was Yeah, I did not realize that they were going to have snacks and stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to come back for the gumbo, but didn't.
We made mistakes. We should have brought our Pacific Northwest mouse meat bag along because there was like a reusable shopping bag they gave us. We should have brought that around so we could carry all of our goodies because like the Winter Wonderland theme place had made different like, what was it? Like barks. So there's like a holiday themed bark like they have in the parks. And then they had like a peppermint bark that they handed out for everyone that visited their door. We spun the wheel at the Wilderness Explorers themed door. And I was given a can of grape soda. Like people were giving out buttons and stickers and flower lays. And I have to talk about the Sword in the Stone themed door. You could go pull Excalibur you could go attempt to pull Excalibur from the sword. And their gifts were like the best. They were these little keychains that they made, but each of the keychains had your favorite characters from the film. So I had a really tough time choosing who I wanted because some of them had Merlin, some of them had Mim, and some of them even had Archimedes the Owl, which like those are like the top 3 characters for me in that film. And well, all the animal characters that they turn into too. Anyways, very well done. Shout out to everyone that participated because it is a crazy high level of dedication and time and talent that goes into to making these things. Just unbelievable.
Yeah. So that kind of wrapped up the first night of festivities for us. The next morning we got down to the lobby. We did their breakfast that came with the hotel, just a basic breakfast. And then it was time to line up for rope drop, which is you line up basically just like on Main Street, and they do rope drop where you can go in and see they have a room full of vendors. Inside this room, one of the things that was like the showpiece, if you will, was a Lego set that was, and you might have seen it on social media because I remember seeing it somewhere.
Yeah.
But it was Pirates of the Caribbean, the entire attraction with real water and boats that floated and moved around. And it was these two guys that built it, and it was fantastic.
It was very, very impressive. I took all sorts of photos, and Tag was taking videos. It was very, very fun. The other thing that was cool, too, was, right, since it's Lego, there's only so many different characters, potentially, that you can have for Lego. So they even have, like, hidden Disney characters within the space. So, like, Maui was in line out front to go in to experience the attraction. Peter Pan and Tinkerbell were around. It was just really, really fun. But the thing that was crazy to me was they built this, right? But they also built it so that they could travel with it and reset it up.
I don't even want to know how they had to do that.
Yeah, I don't, like, I didn't take a good picture that shows how many banquet tables do you think they had this thing on?
A lot.
At least 3, probably 4.
But, like, I'm just thinking about regular Lego sets that I've built at home. Like, I'm nervous moving, like, my Millennium Falcon that's not even that big around. Like, trying to travel it, like, in a car. Mm-hmm. Like, I'd be so nervous that it would, like, break apart. I don't think they had them glued together or anything.
I have no idea. It was massive. It was very, very cool.
It was the entire center of this ballroom space where they had a bunch of other vendors. And just like Disneyana, they had some vendors there that were selling, like, pins and Disney...
Custom t-shirts.
You know, just like at Disneyana, like all the different things, some old like collectibles and stuff were in there.
Yeah.
And then there was the raffle, which was really great because the raffle, half the proceeds go to Ryman Arts and the local children's hospital.
The Seattle Children's Hospital. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was really cool. Yeah, it was just a cool space. It wasn't crazy and overwhelming. It wasn't hard to get around in there or anything like that.
I do like that because if you're a shopper, like if merchandise is your main passion when it comes to Disney stuff, maybe you'd be disappointed with the shopping that's here because it's not tons and it's not like if you've been to Disneyana, it's not that level. It's a little bit smaller. I'd say there's probably maybe a dozen vendors that they had, but they're very good about not having this just like the same types of things. It's not like it's a dozen people only selling pins.
Right.
No, it's a very good wide selection of different things. Like there was this one woman that had all of these hand beaded, itty bitty tiny beads. I don't know if I made you go over and look at these itty bitty tiny beads that she did, like, I don't even know what you call it, wove together to make into Disney characters that then were, like, into jewelry pieces. So there was earrings, or there was, like, little pendants that would be on your necklaces or whatever. And it's, like, an entire Disney character that's, like, not even an inch high. Like, head to toe Disney character, not just the faces. So it was just so intricate. Then I'm, like, looking at these. First of all, I'd never seen beads as itty bitty tiny as what these were, and then I'm looking at these, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just had to sit there and marvel at them because they were just incredible.
That is impressive.
So you never know what you're gonna find, because it's lots of different unique stuff. The other really cool thing too is the presenters and speakers here in between the talks have a, like, meet and greet corner set up, so we got in line to go meet and get autographs and photos with the wonderful folks that we got to hear from later that we will talk about. So that's really cool. So it's not many Disney events, Disneyana, of course, you can, approach the speakers and presenters. But when you go to bigger events like the D23 Expo, it's just such a massive, such a big event that you don't always get those opportunities. That's what makes these smaller fan-run events unique and special in that aspect. You might not be seeing, like, I don't know, The Rock at, presenting and coming out on stage, and it might not be a bunch of A-list actors, but it's a bunch of very important Disney people that you get to hear their stories from and get to, interact with and such. So who was our first speaker or presenter?
I was just going to ask you. I don't remember the order.
Tim Delaney
It was Tim Delaney.
Our first speaker presenter for the event.
We heard him talk a couple times because he talked on this day.
Throughout the weekend, yeah. And he, former Imagineer, and has his own design company and stuff as well at this point, working on some other things. He was wonderful. He was, I would say, of the three speakers, the thing that stood out to me about his presentations was he's very funny. Like, he sprinkled lots of jokes into things, which I really enjoyed because, like, everybody was laughing at a lot of the different things that were happening there. So the thing that's really neat was Tim worked for Walt Disney Imagineering for 34 years and did all sorts of really cool things. But he did a lot of, like, he was project designer and show producer for various attractions and led teams by taking them from, like, the first concept phase. So he was showing a bunch of different concept art renderings that he had done through development and then also construction and opening day. So some of the projects and attractions that were directed by him. And the thing that's wild about this is it's not just, like, attractions, really, because the first thing is, like, the Living Seas Pavilion.
Yeah.
That is an attraction, but it is quite the experience. But anyways, the Living Seas...
Kind of the equivalent to a land, almost.
Yeah, it is. Living Seas Pavilion, of course, that's at Epcot Center. Discoveryland at Disneyland Paris.
He talked a lot about that. Yeah.
Also at Disneyland Paris he helped with the Space Mountain at Disneyland Paris. We've got Tomorrowland at Hong Kong Disneyland, Paradise Pier and Park Entrance at Disney California Adventure. So that was, I think, the original Disney California. DCA 1.0, we'll say. Disney Resort Concepts and Hotels at Alani, which he actually didn't get to speak on that. He was joking because he was the first presenter and apparently he had prepared more that he wasn't able to get through, but I bet you that was one of the things that he wasn't able to get through.
Yeah, I heard somebody say that they talked to him between the panels, and he said that he only got through 60% of what he wanted to get through.
Yeah, which, I mean, I would have sat there all day. I would have been fine.
It's true.
And then the last thing, too, the original Epcot Center concept development, which that's pretty amazing and pretty huge, too. But his, like, the key to his success has been his ability to create unique concepts and ideas that start as, like, illustrated versions of what people, what the general ideas, to then see them all the way through the ending phase. So that was really, really cool. So he got to work with some just incredible big name folks and, like, icons. John Hench being one of them. He told a really fun story about how they would be, with these concept illustrations, they would be having to pump them out and try and help bring everyone's thoughts onto paper to visualize what it was that they were trying to create. And so he was asking, like, John Hench, like, how how do I don't know how to get these, how are you pumping these out and making them finish? Da, da, da. And John told him not to go to the art department, but go to the maintenance department and ask them for a 4-inch wide paintbrush. And as soon as he said that, you can look at some of these concepts, and they're ones that I'm sure everyone has seen too. And you just see these wonderful, big streaks of color in the background. That's the John Hench 4-inch wide paintbrush method to kind of finish out pull the sketch together to make it look more finished.
I will see this now.
I love it
in everything, because I kind of wondered, it's kind of one of those things that you subconsciously see. And I was like, oh, that explains that. Because he was saying that, like Teresa was saying, they were being asked to get these things done very quickly, pump out tons of versions. And he said they had to be large. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, well, I just don't know how to do this. And so if you look at a lot of the concept arts from this time, and he shared some of those during the presentation, that, when you it's kind of a weird trick of the mind, because when you look at them, they kind of, at first glance at least, they seem very detailed. But then you kind of look at it and you're like, they're actually kind of not detailed. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There was lines and it's the color, but all of that together makes it look like a full thing.
It pulls it together.
Because he really emphasized that you need to, one of the things that he learned about all this is that you need an image to sell people on.
Yeah.
And it needs to be big because you're presenting it to people that aren't right up against it. They need to be able to see it a little bit further away and stuff. And I was like, man, this all seems obvious now that he's said this, but I guess maybe in the moment or just, we just didn't know. I don't know. It was wonderful.
After that, wonderful presentation, which I'm sad that we didn't get to see the full you know what? I'm going to take a step back first though, because the really amazing thing about the day was that all 3 presenters or people that were asked to come speak at this event. When I was here 2 years ago, it was more of interview style presentation. So whoever it was would be up there going through their presentation, but Don would also be on stage with them and kind of, talking with them about their idea, about their careers, about their topics, whatever. This though, all 3 of these folks created their own presentations and did their own, it was all about
for this event
just for this event specifically. So that was also really, really neat. So we got to see a lot of really fun things. They all had really wonderful visuals. There were some even movies and
clips.
Also but there another kind of overarching thing was we saw their original Disney stories and their history with Disney, typically Disneyland, the park, and how that kind of led them into their careers at Disney. Bob Weiss even talked about from the beginnings, because he did not start in Walt Disney Imagineering. He got his start in the parks that eventually led him to Walt Disney Imagineering. But we'll get to him in a couple minutes because he was the next presenter.
We got to step back because I forgot what I think is one of the most entertaining parts of all of this.
Yes.
So Dawn, this was, like Teresa said, this was Adventureland themed. And before each speaker, Dawn would come up and introduce them. Well, before Dawn would come up to the stage, they would play these videos that they made previously that were themed to things. There was one where Dawn was Indiana Jones going into the temple, and
because it was something about the microphone.
Yeah, getting the microphone that he had to bring in, which was funny and amazing. It was the right level of cheesy. Well, there was one he was on was he on the Jungle Cruise?
Yeah, he was on the Jungle Cruise for one of them.
And what was the other one? There was 3 of them. They were just wonderful. Yeah. I just remember watching them, and I was they were just the right level of cheesy, and funny. And then, of course, Dawn would come up. They also had the previous voice of Disneyland and Disney California Adventure announce him to the stage, pre-recorded, but it was cool.
They were past guests of the Mouse Meet.
But that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that just shows Don puts on such a great thing, and he's such a gracious guest that people will do stuff like this for him. So it's amazing.
So after Tim's presentation, we had a cosplay stage parade. So there was different people that were in cosplay. Some people were Disney bounding. Others just were kind of dressed in an overall Disney themed. And they had a fan vote So you could vote for your favorite via like QR code type thing that they then announced the winners at the end of the day. But that was kind of the way to showcase all of the wonderful outfits that people were wearing for the day's event. And then after that, we broke for lunch, which was kind of loosely themed. Again, it was Disney themed, but loosely themed around the land. So there was like, you had the
grilled cheese and
tomato soup, like AKA the Jolly Holiday combo. I had a Polynesian chicken wrap that, again, would be like an Adventureland theme. But the one thing that I have now lovingly termed the Animation Academy of the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet is they always have this really fun ink and paint cell painting booth that you can go create your own version of an animation cell. So this is really, really cool. It's part of the event. It's not an extra cost or anything like that. But basically you can go over, you use like paint markers to fill in, you get to choose your character. It's really, really cool. If you ever come up here, I highly recommend to make time to do this.
What character did you make, Teresa?
And this year, I told Tay that I had to go over there because I saw people walking around with figments. So I was like, oh, well, that's got to happen. Well, then it got even better when I walked over there. So figment was like a full sheet. So like an 8.5 by, is that what is a?
8.5 by 11.
An 8.5 by 11. And I mean, it's Figment. He's amazing. We love him. But then
That's not who you made, though.
This year, though, they had half sheets. So the first time I did it was a full sheets only. This year, though, they had half sheets, and I was thinking, oh, that'd probably travel better. And they had Hey Hey, and we'll talk about why Hey Hey. Well, Hey Hey because it was Hey Hey, but there was also a specific reason Hey Hey was present, I think, for this mouse meet for one of the options for ink and paint. So I did ink and paint rendition for Hey Hey, and I love him. He turned out so good. I need to make sure that he makes it home safely. But it's so cool, like, to do this because it's obviously not the it's not the traditional process of how you do ink and paint, but it's such a good way to kind of get people to feel like they're doing it, and it's a really good representation, and it's not very intimidating because they're these, ink pen marker things. So it's not like it's super messy or anything like that, but it's a really fun, really great, really unique Disney activity.
So the next presenter that we went back to after all of this stuff was Bob Weiss, the former head of Walt Disney Imagineering. Of course, if you've been a weekly tier or heard our show before now, we have had his book Dream Chasing for our book club that we are going to be wrapping up here soon. And also a great conversation with him where he talked about, like Teresa said earlier, he started with his starting work at Disneyland. If you've read his book, you've heard this story before that, he worked the popcorn cart and he worked the ice cream cart. And then his career with Disney ended abruptly when they made him do balloons for one day and he did not want to do balloons. And they said, well, sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do. And that was his career with Disney. And it was one of the best jokes he made.
Yeah, first round of Disney.
Which was, thanks, everybody. That was the whole conversation. And everybody laughed. But then he went through, some of the stuff that led him back to it and some of the projects he's worked on. The ones I think that are really close to his heart, and you can tell from the book as well that he talked a little bit about, was he worked on Tokyo Disneyland when he was part of a small group to work on Tokyo Disneyland because the company was really focused at the time of building Epcot.
Yeah.
So he was they had hardly any resources to do Tokyo Disneyland and all of the stuff that went along with that. And then he ended up later working, the most recent thing I think he did was working on like Shanghai and getting that whole project off the ground. But he's just a wonderful person to listen to. And he's so, even though he was the head of Walt Disney Imagineering, he's so humble and so good at like crediting, like he doesn't want a lot of credit for stuff. Like, he's like, I worked with the team on this.
No, I feel like that was
everybody.
That was everybody. That was a main theme is everyone that spoke was talking about the importance of, their teams, and we're even using the terms like, their teams and their coworkers were their family. Yeah. And so it was really amazing. And they talked more today. Bob and Tim did a second little like Q&A presentation panel, and they were talking kind of about like just the structure and like the management style of the Walt Disney Company and how it's so important that it's creatives. And this really spoke to me because of, and everybody has this, I'm sure most people I think have this type of structure in their work environment where you've got this like chain of command that you have to go up and down through. So if you have an idea, you have to bring it up to your leader, who then brings it up to their. It's like you're 5 steps removed from the conversation. So it's kind of almost like you're playing this weird game of telephone. So that what happens then is a lot of things get lost in the cracks because what may be important to you may not be important to one of the people in between you and who it needs to go to and all this stuff. And he was talking about how Disney has he was calling it like a very flat thing. So it was important that the designers were in the same meetings and rooms as like the CEOs, whether it be Bob,
the finance people, the engineers,
whether it be Michael Eisner, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, whoever, that it was really important that instead of like Bob being the president of Imagineering, having the conversations on behalf of his teams, they made sure that the teams and the people doing the projects were the ones talking directly to the people making the decisions, which is amazing. And truly, more places I think need to do that because the amount of meetings that sometimes happen and then the amount of actual progress that gets done is
way out of whack.
So that just really spoke to me, and I was like, oh.
One of the things that he said that was kind of this puts you in this perspective of how big Walt Disney Imagineering and their projects are too. One of the things he said that I thought was a really nice little nugget was that when they would meet with management for things like Bob Iger would come in, for every $1 billion the project was, it was a whole day. Like if something was over $1 billion, they was split into 2 days. Because he said like you can't get the scope of a whole project like that. There's so many details that 1 8-hour day, if you're trying to do stuff, is not enough. So they were saying that like, okay, well, you've got to come here and you got to spend this day, then you got to spend like another half a day to get this stuff. Because when you think about it, you're like, okay, well, $1 billion, that's a lot of money. But you think about it, the redo of DCA with Buena Vista Street and all of that was like $1.1 billion. Of course, you think about a whole new resort like Shanghai, that was multiple billions of dollars. And so coming up with those concepts and coming up with a whole plan, I just thought that was really interesting that they kind of fought for that time that they needed to make sure that the buy-in was there and everybody kind of understood what the project, like why the project was happening, why these different details were important. He also talked about, again, we're kind of blending today's conversation with the other day's conversation, but it fits in with this well too, that you have these budget people, and Tim said that like you can either use it as a tool and have somebody be really helpful on a project with like a financial person, or it can be weaponized. And he said weaponized is like, we're cutting these, you have to cut these 3 things. Using it as a tool is, well, if we scale this part back, you can do this in a limited way. So like you still get the full project done. You just have to do, you have to make some compromises, as opposed to like, nope, that's not happening. Which in an organization, I mean, we talk about that as fans all the time, right? That, Disney, I've said it before, Disney needs to spend more money on these things and whatever. But Bob Weiss actually made a big deal about this today too, that you have to be responsible, like you have to take into account that it is a company, and you need to also keep the company in mind when you're coming up with these projects. And just because something gets canceled or whatever doesn't mean it's never going to happen. It's just not the right time for it. And I thought that was a great line too.
Yeah. So back to just Bob's first presentation. Oh, you're okay. But he was an Imagineer for over a 40-year span. So from 1980 to 2023. The other really cool thing, in those years, Bob worked on every Disney park and resort around the world. So we started, of course, with Tokyo Disneyland. Later, he worked on Tokyo Disney Sea. He worked on Disney Hollywood Studios, the reinvention of Disney California Adventure, and then
he would like
to
you to say
as well.
MGM Studios, because he was happy that MGM Studios was mentioned.
That was me. I was the one that mentioned it. I felt so special.
Yeah. He's like, thank you for calling it MGM Studios.
That was me. Like, MGM Studios. Because it was. When it first opened, it was MGM Studios. Current day, it's Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. He worked on MGM Studios. But he was the president of Walt Disney Imagineering from 2016 to 2022. And then his final year at Disney, he was the Disney Global Imagineering Ambassador, which fitting, very, very fitting for this man to have done that. He did all sorts of different projects outside of Disney because, again, if you read his book, which we'll get to, and talk about what he's doing currently now, which is he's an author, but he did take a break from Disney at one point, but he led the creative development outside of Disney with consulting at the Kennedy Space Center, at the Smithsonian, the New York City Rockefeller Center. He did this really amazing project. I can't remember what it was called, but it was for the U.S. Navy. It was this like training simulator, basically.
This is amazing. I saw a YouTube video, not about the creation of it,
but just about the experience.
Yeah, so it popped up on my YouTube because I'm weird. I have very weird things on YouTube that I look at, and it was talking about like what it's like to go through kind of like Navy basic training, and they utilize this. And I had read that part of Bob's book before I had seen this video, and I was like, this must be the experience that Bob created, because it's basically a full inside of a soundstage. It's a full Navy ship, and they do training like fire suppression, evacuation, all this stuff. It's crazy.
It's called the Battle Stations 21 project.
Yeah. And
Battle Stations 21.
One of the neatest things that he shared was that sailors go through this whole scenario, and when they're done, they kind of lift this curtain, and their families are there, and that's part of their graduation ceremony.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's really cool.
So to kind of summarize what it is, he said it's it's on a sound stage, and it's a battleship in a sound stage, and it is located at the Great Lakes Naval Training Center, but it provides a simulated disaster environment where every Navy recruit must train and undergo their final exam before they graduate. But the fact that they survive this, simulated disaster, to then have the curtain raised, so they're sweaty, they're probably soaking wet, and just had a rough go of it. Dirty, and then it's like, woo! And then to see their family and friends and loved ones on the other side to then graduate that's got to be pretty incredible.
What an awesome project.
Yeah, he was very proud of that, as rightfully so he should be. But the other thing too that he did at Disney before he left was help design the Triton class of cruise ships. So that is the Wish and now the Treasure. So that was also really, really amazing. But so what he's doing now that he is not officially with the Walt Disney Company is he's been writing books. His first book that he wrote was called Ghost Dog, which I have not read yet, and I need to, because it is Herbert recently, basically what it is Herbert recently lost his beloved dog. His parents take him to Disneyland to cheer him up, and Herbert rides the Haunted Mansion. But on this frightful night, a ghost really does follow him home, and not just any ghost. Herbert finds himself trying to keep a ghost dog, which he can only see, keep his new ghost dog a secret. So come on, how fun is that? He also, of course, just came out with his newest book, Dream Chasing, which is his time and his experiences and stories at the Walt Disney Company, starting all the way back to those ice cream and popcorn days, which abruptly ended because of balloons, but then picked back up because of Tokyo Disneyland project. So really, really cool. He did even tease today that he's currently working on 3 more books.
Which is like what?
Yeah. One book is a book about Marty Sklar. The other book was kind of a I don't know, sequel to the Ghost Dog, but he said it's about a different attraction. So he didn't give us very many details on that. And then the third book was...
it was Walt Disney's relationship with Werner von Braun, who this all existed, he was saying, before NASA existed. And Disney, was working... If you look back at some of the Disneyland TV series and the World of Color and stuff, they had a lot of this man in space situation where they were really using a lot of science, even though it wasn't an animated or entertainment. It was really science based, and Werner von Braun was part of that. And they ended up eventually working with NASA to get the space program going, but worked with Disney. And he said all the people that started NASA basically worked for Disney before that, which was what? But that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So
that'll be a great book, by the way.
I'm looking forward to all of them.
Yeah.
And looking forward to picking up the Ghost Dog, which has been on my list, but I need to do it. Now that we've seen Bob Weiss present and talk, I feel like, okay, I need to move it up. I need to move it up the list because, of course, the Disney book wish list has just only been growing. It hasn't been getting any shorter. All right, moving on to our final presenter of the day, John Musker, who was an animator, film director, screenwriter, and film producer, of course, for Walt Disney Animation. But he was best known for writing and directing Disney animated films such as The Great Mouse Detective, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, Treasure Planet, The Princess and the Frog, as well as Moana. So he had quite the span. So that, if you're wondering, what the years were, so those films released from 1986 all the way to 2016. So he also had a very long, very wonderful career with the Walt Disney Company. But he often collaborated with fellow director Ron Clements. And yeah, I mean, so many amazing, great films.
One of the things that he talked about in his presentation that I thought was really kind of cool was he had a lot of clips. He brought a lot of video clips to show, what did he say? It was cleanup footage. Footage that was before it was cleaned up, but it was also
footage that they were doing. It was kind of almost so one of them that he showed was with the genie from Aladdin, and they were trying to kind of create the character of the genie, and they had Robin Williams in mind to be the voice of the genie. But when it's somebody like Robin Williams, you don't have somebody like that necessarily needing to come in an audition. And so to kind of figure out how they wanted to do the genie, they were taking and animating things to Robin Williams stand-up. So if you don't know the process of the process of an animated movie or animated television show, the animators don't begin their work until the voice actors have recorded the lines, because the animators will animate to the recordings, if that makes sense. And that's how the lips line up and the timing's all correct and all that kind of fun stuff. So they animated the genie to Robin Williams stand up. And so that was really funny. One of the clips he showed was not the genie as we know him in his form today. He was a little more rounder of a genie, I'd say, narrower shoulders, big rounder belly. But it was really funny to see the genie with the correct genie voice, Robin Williams' voice coming out, but doing Robin Williams stand-up comedy routines. But it was also really fun to see how they interpreted what Robin Williams' jokes and punchlines were and how they made that come to life with the genie. And so they presented that to Robin to kind of get him to buy in and say yes to be part of the film. He also talked about the wonderful experience of working with Robin Williams and all the different, takes that they did, which I think is a pretty well-known story in the Disney community, that Robin Williams just kind of went way off script and was doing and brought a lot of himself into that role, the genie. But yeah, so that was really, really cool.
He did say they did 17 takes or something of just the script. Mm-hmm. He wanted to make sure that people know Robin stuck to the script, he did what was written, and then once they got that, they were okay, now you can flourish.
Yeah.
And so they did I don't know, a bunch more takes. And then he said it was kind of like a ransom letter where they went through all the recordings and took different things to kind of make it all work together. Because anybody who's listened to Robin Williams off-the-cuff things, it's kind of everywhere. And there's not story.
They could then kind of piece those into where it made sense in the story. The overall story of Aladdin.
He was such an amazing individual and so sharp and quick. Mm-hmm. I don't know how anybody can be like that. One of the interesting things that he talked about too was, there's two other things that I vividly remember about this presentation. The first one is he showed some footage that they take because even nowadays they still use real life actors to kind of show animators how people move to make sure that they can animate them correctly. So if you think back like Snow White, they had somebody like dancing around and everything, so you can get the like dress movement and like Jungle Book and stuff. They did like animals, so they can make sure it's accurate. Well, they did one for Hercules. And it was so funny because he was explaining that they had filmed so much. One of the people had to like leave, but they still needed to film this thing. So one of the clips, there was just like like somebody else that was just there.
Yeah, it was like the secretary or something.
Just like stood in. And so there's all these people in this kind of vague outfit, and then just somebody with like street clothes dancing just in one of the clips, and it was like, that is hilarious how they kind of did all of this together.
But he was talking about how it was a professional choreographer that came in, who is currently like doing choreography for like Beyonce,
right? Came
in and choreographed the dancing and movement for that scene.
And he said that this was he thought it was, if you remembered correctly, it was like the model shop at Imagineering is where they filmed this. And I was like, well, that's fascinating that they did that. The other thing I remember, of course, is he talked about working on Moana. And this was a surprise to me that...
I think this was a surprise to everyone.
They were originally going to cut Pua and Hey Hey.
But who's they?
Bob Iger.
I was going to say, I wonder if we should... so what it was when they first presented Pua and Hey Hey, Bob Iger was just kind of like, do we? So he wasn't convinced and was like, we don't need those guys.
Well, but I will tell you...
I think they also had a much, much bigger role originally.
Sure, and that's what he said too, that originally Pua was going to be on the boat is what they were trying to go for, and that ended up not happening, but Hey Hey ended up going on the boat. But originally Hey Hey, they had some test footage of Hey Hey, and Hey Hey was going to be this, like, rooster.
Like cranky, pompous rooster.
Cranky, pompous, was kind of like, in the clip they showed kind of like almost mean to Pua.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, so how did we fix this? So they put this great graphic of Hey Hey with this IQ meter, and they just dropped the IQ meter down to like 0. He said they stretched his neck and made his eyes bug out. And that's the Hey Hey we know and love. And I was like, I don't think I would have liked Hey Hey in its original...
OG Hey Hey.
OG Hey Hey. And then they showed that to Bob Iger, and Bob Iger was like, okay. And put it back in. And then he was also happy to say that in the sequel, Pua gets to go on the boat. Yeah. So finally it did come around.
He did say that, to be clear, he worked on the original Moana. He did not work on Moana 2. But when they did Moana 2, someone reached out to him. They're like, we got the pig on the boat.
Yeah. But that story and those clips they showed
was so funny.
I was like gasping. I was like, oh, they almost cut them?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think a lot of people were just like,
these are like the stories you never hear.
Could you, it's one of those, they became such iconic characters of the film. Could you imagine them not being there? They were the comic relief.
But also, like, Moana would then have been on the boat by herself. Like, that's weird. Like, it's nice to have her have a companionship until, Maui shows up.
Yeah, that's true. I need to go back. So,
yeah, sorry.
John, he was best known for writing and directing The Great Mouse Detective On, but the first movie he worked on was The Fox and the Hound in 1981, which was in 1981. And he was talking about, he animated the hunter in one of the scenes. But that's also when he met Ron Clements, who then, they were the duo together and worked on all of these great, amazing films. He also worked with amazing folks like Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, who, of course, did beautiful scores for The Little Mermaid and also worked on Aladdin. Alan Menken went on to do all sorts of other just iconic, beautiful Disney songs that we all know and love. But yeah, it's just amazing. So he worked with Lin-Manuel Miranda, of course, on Moana and just all sorts of really amazing, cool talent. And he also very, very funny. That's something that we have learned through going to these talks is people that like animators are hilarious, which makes total sense because they need to be to kind of like make their characters also have these wonderful, fun, funny, endearing personalities. But yeah, he was a character in and of himself. The other thing that was very, very special was John retired in 2018 and he had worked for Disney for 40 years, but he just recently released his own short film, I'm Hip, which he had animated by hand, and he actually showed that all to the audience. And so I'm Hip was a song, that already existed that he then animated this fun little cute story along to. And the cool thing, John was telling us that he's kind of known, and he shared a bunch of them, known for his caricatures. So he said he's probably done thousands of caricatures of Ron Clements over the years, but he also showed us all sorts of other caricatures that he had done of other folks. But he had that kind of caricature style in I'm Hip, but then also put a bunch of people in there and like had all sorts of different nods. I'm trying to remember who all he had in there.
It was a lot.
Ron Clements and his wife, as well as Ron's like 3 basset hounds, which I thought was really fun and really cool. Jeffrey Katzenberg, Michael Eisner, and one other person, I don't remember. We're all 3 sitting at a table together in one of the scenes. Floyd Norman was in there playing bass at one point.
The one animator.
Ward Kimball.
Eric Goldberg was in one.
Yeah, Eric Goldberg was in there. It was amazing. And it was really cool that we watched the entire thing and then he sat there and pointed out. Because actually, Jeffrey Katzenberg, I saw like him and I'm like, that kind of looks like, but I didn't realize that he had put people, had put people in the movie. So anyways, it was really, really fun. Oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda was a caricature in there as well.
He also went through a whole bunch of clips of feature movies. There was not this, that him and the dude showed up and he's like, here's all of us.
Yeah.
And then in one of them, what was the one where they were like, you can't do that, but then when the like cake or whatever exploded, then it looked like them when they were
that's right. So it was The Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
Because he said that in animation, what was it? When in doubt, model the villain after your boss.
Right.
Which was kind of like a little like true, but also a little like just joke. So the Property brothers in The Princess and the Frog, they're kind of the villains. Dr. Facilier obviously is the main villain.
Right.
But the realtor brothers are kind of a villain to Tiana because they like are being really belittling and don't think that she could open a restaurant and like are just. They then promise her that it's hers, and then they've sold it to someone else, and da-da-da-da. So anyways, they're like, you can't, they're villains, you can't make us the villain, So, but what they did was they had a little cameo because, yes, when the cake explodes, the two brothers...
When they're covered in all the crap, look like them.
Covered in all of the, frosting and stuff, that's their little cameo there. They were joking that Pua and Hey Hey maybe were John and Ron, but he never confirmed nor denied that.
Sure.
But he did show where they are, where their little caricature things are in Moana, which was really cool. It was on a tapestry at one point. I'm trying to think of what other little hidden, like where they were hidden in other films. But there's also, it was really cool to see that. And again, that's something that we've learned. We actually just went to the Goofy movie on the road presentation from D23, and Kevin Lima was talking about how he was the director for a Goofy movie, and so they talked about where his caricature, where he and this one other man that I'm blanking the name on right now, where their caricatures and where they are within the movie. So I think that's so fun that the people that work on these films are able to kind of literally put a piece of themselves in the films as well. But yeah, just tons of fun stories. Very, very interesting. The other thing I want to talk about real quick too is, again, we mentioned that there's like a meet and greet section where you can go and take photos, get autographs, and have brief little conversations with these individuals. And I just want to say, like, they were all just so really, really great to talk to. It had to have been a very long and very exhausting day, but they did not show that 1 ounce. So I was the second to last person in Bob Weiss's line, and he was still so full of energy and excitement to be meeting fans and to talk to people. So it was just really, really amazing to be able to, again, shake these people's hands, say thank you to them face to face, talk to them about, what kind of impact their work has had on you. Because I'm sure in many ways when they were in doing these roles, especially in the beginning, I don't want to say it's a thankless job, but I don't think had much interaction or, one-on-one interaction specifically with fans. So John was talking about how it was so cool to see how many different Treasure Planet fans there were, because Treasure Planet, when it came out, kind of flopped. It wasn't a big, huge, amazing Disney hit, and it's still kind of one that not a lot of people maybe have diehard Disney fans know about it, but your average casual Disney film watcher probably hasn't even heard of Treasure Planet. It was a very enjoyable film, but it just didn't do super well, which, that happens. But so things like that. Because, right, when you're working and it's part of your day-to-day, maybe you're just hearing, you don't always know about the person that, like, thought it was incredible and amazing. I think about that with a Goofy movie. A Goofy movie wasn't super popular when it first came out, and it's just kind of come back around and has this, like, resurgence all of a sudden. I just think how cool that must be to have been somebody that worked on that project, spent years of their life pouring themselves into these projects to then have it, quote unquote, not be a success and be a failure for the company. And then everyone just kind of moves on to then be able to see, oh no, the fans appreciated the fans loved it. And anyways, sidelong tangent, but it was really, really cool to be able to spend some moments and spend some time with all these folks.
So after all the presentations and getting our last little bit of signatures and time with everybody, we had our meetup, which was amazing.
It was so good.
For being somewhere that wasn't the parks, it was I want to say it was like the second largest meetup or something we've had, it felt like.
I was completely blown away by the turnout. I was expecting, I don't know, maybe a handful of people or something, because like you said, it was very kind of, I don't want to say random, but just, outside of the park. So this is the first meetup we had done outside of the park. So we just really we didn't really have high expectations. So, and, we just were excited if anybody showed up, really. So the fact that we had so many people show up and spend so much time hanging out with us was just absolutely amazing. Cherry on top of, like, the amazing day Sunday that was the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet.
I also want to just give a shout out. They'll probably never hear this, but the staff of the Embassy Suites in Linwood, they did an amazing job. When we were doing the meetup, there was one waitress and it wasn't even a waitress, she was one of the bartenders, and there was two people in the kitchen, and we all, at the table, there was more than a dozen of us, and we all ordered food. And the fact that those people were able to turn around some food and stuff, she worked really hard. The bartender worked really hard. The staff in the whole hotel worked really hard because they were changing rooms over and moving things around, and they made the food for the themed food and stuff like that. So I don't think they got enough recognition or appreciation from people, I would say, because they were kind of working in the background. And so a lot of times when people are working in the background, they don't get a lot of recognition. So like I said, I don't think any of them necessarily will listen to this, but I do want to shout them out because they were working really hard. And then we told the bartender last night that we really appreciated all of the work she did, because she didn't. Sometimes you'll get people that, when you're splitting checks, we split checks a lot of different ways, that's more work for them, but she took it, didn't even have a problem with it, didn't bat an eye. She got food out for us. She was really apologetic because it took a little while, but we were also, chill with it. I also want to thank the Weekly Tiers who were there for also being patient and friendly with her, because we did wait a while, and you would have been within your right to be frustrated, but nobody was.
And it's because we had such great company to keep us occupied while we. But in all fairness, so our waitress was handling everything like a total champ, and it wasn't until the end when we were wrapping up with, everyone's food had been delivered at that point, that she then told us, oh yeah, there's only two people back in the kitchen, and we're like, oh my gosh. So
and they sent one of the other guys back.
Yeah, I felt bad and guilty for but she was like, no, you guys are fine. Like, they were just so kind and so gracious. So yeah,
they were great.
Shout out to them.
The front desk staff, when we checked in, was pretty good, because that front area, just the acoustics in there can make it difficult to hear people and stuff like that. And they were very patient with all of that. And just, it was great. All the people here were great. And we really appreciate all of it. And all the Weekly Tiers were amazing. People we have never met before.
Yes.
Teresa got to meet some people that she's booking cruise stuff from.
Yeah, there's two different families that I got to spend time with. That one just got back from a Disneyland trip that I helped them plan. The other one, we're in the process of planning their first ever Disney cruise. So that was really rewarding to be able to connect with them and talk to them, face to face, instead of just over the phone. So that was really special. We had folks, which really was heartwarming, that came to the meetup even though they were not at the mouse meet. So that was just also completely not something we expected,
One of the
which was
weekly
incredible.
drove like an hour and a half just to come meet us. There was people that were visiting from Canada that were trying to get back home, and they hung out with us. And there was a bunch of locals, of course, as well. So, yes, thank you to everybody who made the time to come see us. I know there was a lot of people who were thankful that we did something up here during this event because they're like, it was nice that you came to us. We didn't have to try to like schedule like a Disneyland trip. So yes. So thank you all for coming. It was wonderful. If we didn't spend a ton of time with any one of you who are listening, we apologize. We tried to get around to everybody and try to spend time with everybody, but we really, really appreciate it. And just as a reminder, if you ever do meet us, we have buttons that you get only if you meet us in person. Make sure you say hi. We actually, afterwards, today, we went to the D23 Goofy movie event, and there was a weekly tier there who was like, didn't want to approach us here for whatever reason, but did approach us there, and very, very glad that they did that.
Yeah, I was so happy that they came and said hi.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to do, too, was thank everyone who wasn't able to make the meetup, which is totally okay. I get it. The Mouse Meet main event day is a very long, full day, so I totally understand. But thank you for stopping us and saying hi and chatting us with real quick. We had people stop and chat with us during the door decorating contest while we were walking around and looking at everyone's wonderful door displays. We had people stop and say hi throughout the main event day on Saturday. Stop and say hi, and it was just so heartwarming and so cool to be able to see and say hi and put faces with so many listeners and weekly tiers. Because again, right, it's a podcast. I'm sitting here in a hotel room looking at Tag, but we're talking to, many, many more people than just each other. So it's always really incredible to meet the listeners and to hear your thoughts of like someone that we were talking to today was like, oh yeah, you go on walks. The two of you go on walks with me I don't remember if it was
Friday.
Every Friday. I was like, it was a specific day. I'm like, you go on walks with me every Friday. She even told us a specific park that she, takes her weekly walks through and all, like just really fun, cool things like that. That just really, the podcast is a total passion project of Tag and mine. That is just because we love Disneyland so much, but it's just like, takes it to a whole nother level when we get to connect and see all of you and hear kind of like your enjoyment of the podcast too. We enjoy it just because we enjoy Disneyland, but then it's so cool to hear, what the fun things that how the podcast has also become part of your lives.
Yeah. And it was also nice because most of you we've never met before. Yeah. So it was really nice to meet new people.
Lots of new faces. And we're always so happy to see familiar faces again, too, because it's almost like, I think the Pacific, this was like an extension of the 70th anniversary, how we were talking about how that was like a reunion. The Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet, I think, whenever we come and attend, which we do plan to have future times that we attend. This is not the one and only time that the two of us will be at this event for sure, I don't think. I think the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet will also quickly become kind of like a weekly tier reunion event as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have been here to multiple mouse meets. Mm-hmm. So after the mouse meet this morning, a lot of people departed because it's a long weekend and all that stuff. But some people from this event also went over for the Goofy movie, D23, which was at the local AMC, which was wonderful because it was only I think the GPS said 7 minutes from the hotel, which really cool. It was in one of their larger theaters. It seemed like we were able to get some food and stuff, and it was a really cool event. They had some stuff going on beforehand, and then it was very interactive. They had all these different things that we were supposed to do. Gosh. If anybody knows, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and there's you have all this interactivity with the movie, they really encouraged a lot of that. Anytime certain characters did certain things you were supposed to do or say or light up things. They gave us a glow stick and sunglasses and just a bunch
verbal
of
cues
and stickers that you could put on a map and all this stuff. They had props that they were doing stuff
but those were surprise props. We didn't know that they were going to be part of the show, but it was.
We looked over one part and they have a giant inflatable car that was lit up.
Did you look in the windshield? Because you could see Max and Goofy were in the car.
It went all the way up the stadium seating auditorium and back twice during the show. They had balls they threw around.
Yeah, beach balls.
There was just a lot.
It was so fun. But the thing that was cool about it was I've never gone to a show that has that many interactive elements and interactive elements and like different things going on during the movie. So I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy that or if that was going to be like more of a distraction for me personally. But honestly, at certain points, I was like turning away and not even looking at the screen because I wanted to see the sea of glow sticks dancing behind us or, whatever. So I thought it was a very, very well done. To me, all of the added interactive things were just plussing the movie experience overall. What did you feel? That's me seeing someone that's seen the movie a bazillion times. What did you feel, though, as someone who's only seen the movie, like twice now?
I didn't think it was I was concerned that it was going to bother me because I had only seen the movie once before years and years ago. So I admittedly did not use any of the props because I just wanted to enjoy the movie. But it didn't bother me at all that people were doing stuff around. There was only one time where there was a line of dialogue that came up and people were responding to it and I couldn't hear what the next line was. And I was and I felt what was
You're
that?
What I missed.
But other than that, it was great. Even when the car and stuff came by, it was kind of in a montagey song time.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't something where I felt like I was missing any of the story. Mm-hmm. So it didn't bother me. Teresa was laughing because she videoed herself at the end with Powerline. She was dancing and singing along, which they encouraged, and was getting the whole crowd behind her, which was really cool because we were up towards the front. And I was just watching the movie. And she's like, I'm partying along and you look grumpy. And I'm like, I'm just chilling. I wasn't upset. I was just trying to watch the movie.
No. I didn't say you look grumpy. I said I'm
or bored
bouncing
or
around
something.
And you're just very serious and watching the movie.
I think you might have said that I looked bored or something. Yeah. I don't know. It was something, but I wasn't. Yeah. It was just, what people look like when they're watching a movie.
Well, I rewatched it and I'm a terrible. We should have taken our new thing. But anyways, I rewatched it and you're not, even though you were sitting right next to me, I somehow didn't, you were not in the shots.
It was a cool experience though. The team at D23 was great. The hosts that they had up there doing some of the pre-show stuff and doing the explanations, he was really funny, actually. And just, it was great. And the people that were all there were really getting into it. They were singing. They were doing all the response stuff that they were supposed to do. They got out their glow sticks and did different things. And for somebody who, like me, who doesn't have a connection with this movie like some people, I would say most of the people that were at the event did, I still found it really, really enjoyable. And of course, both of us geeked out at the end when Jim Megan's name came up and Bambi Moye's name was in the credits because we're like, we know those people, they're so amazing.
Yeah, that was so cool.
So that was really cool. I think Teresa was coming down off of Powerline eye to eye, and I was
experience.
Like, look, it's Jim Megan, and she was like, oh my goodness. So
well, I didn't realize he's one of the first credits,
one of the big,
one of the big things, and right in the beginning.
Yeah. And then I wouldn't have noticed it, but you were like, Bambi Boy, because I was looking for, I don't know what I was looking for. I was looking for something else. But it was great. Wonderful experience. Like I said, D23 did a wonderful job of the event. Shout out to the team that was there doing that. If you have any of these events, what was it? It's called D23 on the road, I think is what the overall. Yeah. Do it. It's cool.
It was so fun. They did you talk about the cardboard cutouts that you could go take your pictures with?
No.
And, so in the lobby, leading up to the theater entrance, they have this big backdrop that made it look like you were in Lester's Possum Park, and you could take your photo with Lester. They also had a cardboard cutout of Powerline, so you could strike your best Powerline pose next to him. It was just so
You were geeking
fun.
out at the Lester though, because you love Lester's Possum Park.
I love Lester's Possum Park. I think it's ridiculous.
We did laugh
and
because
it's so fun.
We are in the Pacific Northwest, and there's a little theme park here called Enchanted Forest and Lester's Possum Park. I leaned over and said, it's like the Enchanted Forest, and everybody who's local here kind of agreed that that's kind of what it feels in a fun way, not like it's terrible, but just kind of like, oh yeah, it is kind of a quaint little side attraction like that, because it's no Disneyland, but what is, right? So, but it was great. We were there with some people from the Mouse Meet that were weekly tiers as well, and it was really cool. The people with the Tron door actually ended up sitting almost right next to us, just by happenstance. I was like, oh, it's those folks again. So it was just, this whole weekend has been very busy, but it has been really fun. There's so much packed into this weekend. I'm glad that we don't have anything else really planned in the next few weeks, because I feel like I need a little break.
We need some recovery time.
Well, yeah, because there was a lot going on, and everybody put on such a good show that we were, there wasn't a lot of There was no time wasted, let's say.
No, not at all. It was overall, even though it was a fun-filled, very excitement-packed trip between the 70th and then coming up here for the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet, my Disney loving heart is like so full, overflowing, in fact, and we just feel so grateful and so fortunate that we got to have these experiences and be able to share and see so many of you at these different experiences and kind of do these things together. It's just absolutely incredible. I am probably going to somehow have not crashed yet. It's the cold brews have been keeping me going through. I'm a little worried about next week work because I work right away. So we fly out tomorrow and the next day 7 a.m. I'm at work.
We're recording this on Sunday the 20th, to be clear.
Yeah. So we fly out tomorrow, get home, and 7 a.m. the next day I'm at work, and I think we actually have an interview scheduled that evening too. So more cold brew, and then we'll be able to kind of relax and reset some, and hopefully do it all over again soon.
Yes. Have you been wanting to support the show in some way financially but not been able to? Well, you can support the show for a one-time payment. You can buy us a churro. Head on over to DLWeekly.net/churro to support us with a churro. Thank you to all the listeners who support the show in any way possible, whether it's joining us on Patreon or rating us and reviewing us on your podcast player, sending us a churro, or just listening and coming and seeing us in the park is also fun.
It's okay. I'll be the only weekly tier without an answer. Make sure you send your questions to Producer James or Producer Vern at trivia@DLWeekly.net.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we are going to find out the answers to tonight's questions, see how Tag and Teresa did, and, of course, see how you did listening at home. Tag and Teresa, how do you think you did?
I'm not feeling great, but I'm excited to hear the answers.
This was a tough week. This was a really tough week.
You sound, for some reason, when you said that, it reminded me of, the Tiki Room, where it's like, I'm just hanging on.
Yeah, basically. That's the motto for this week's Trivia Land.
Well, let's see how it went. Your first listener-submitted question from listener Krista M. Near the Royal Theatre is a store called Fairy Tale Treasures. Above the building with Fairy Tale Treasures, on the tallest steeple, there is a plaque with the letters CPG. What do those letters stand for? With no hesitation, Tag said Carnation Plaza Gardens. The correct answer that I was looking for was Carnation Plaza Gardens.
Boom.
That was good.
And you were very correct. That is the former location of the Carnation Plaza Gardens, where they had live swing music and dancing and all sorts of fun and frivolity, including Walt himself would frequently get out on the dance floor and cut a rug.
I think that'd be so fun.
Yeah, go look at the Disneyland After Dark or the 10th anniversary special. I think it's on Disney Plus now. And you can actually see people enjoying this venue. It was quite the popular place back in the day.
There is specifically one that I'm looking at on Disney Parks blog. There's a look back Carnation Plaza Gardens, and they've got some great pictures and
awesome
art, or Walt sitting at a piano, and a lot of good stuff. Yep. Your second listener submitted question from listener Chris Y. From 1955 to 1974, the Disneyland Railroad had a sponsor. Who was it? You said the Santa Fe Railroad. The correct answer that I was looking for was the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway.
So close.
You were a third of the way there.
So close.
Nobody ever calls it that.
From 1955 to 1974, somebody called them that. Your third question from listener Cooper C. Staying on that railroad. The Disneyland Railroad has 4 steam locomotives named after 4 former presidents of the Santa Fe Railroad.
Oh, gosh.
Can you name the years that they served as presidents of Santa Fe? Yeah,
No,
I do have to give you credit.
No,
that you got 3 of the people.
Woo!
Because you did know C.K. Holiday, who was Cypress Kurtz Holiday. And you knew E.P. Ripley, Edward Payson Ripley. And you knew Ernest S. Marsh. You forgot Fred Gurley.
Oh,
Fred Gurley.
And their years were C.K. Holiday founded the railroad in 1859, serving as president from 1860 to 1863. Edward Payson Ripley served from 1895 to 1920. Fred Gurley served as president from 1944 to 1957, and Ernest S. Marsh served from 1967 to 1967. So,
Well, there you go.
less than a year on his reign as president.
Well, now we know.
Now you know. And
But we
knowing
will not
is...
remember any of this.
Although it might stick as some nugget in your brain somewhere. Somebody's going to say something about one of them, and you'll be like, you know.
So Teresa found it in the Disneyland Encyclopedia that, yes, that is what it was called.
it's that.
The-
But
the-
a lot of people shortened it to Santa Fe Railroad.
The Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe.
Yep.
Did you doubt our listeners having the right answers?
No,
I never heard the whole thing
Yeah.
spelled out before. I only ever saw like Santa Fe, so that's why I was like, "What?" It was actually like I was thinking the joining up happened. I don't know, later or something.
Well, I was thinking about like photos of like the old like train. All I remembered was the cross
Fe.
that said Santa Fe Disneyland.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was
I mean, I get
looking
it.
for.
It's a very long name otherwise, so I can
It
see
is.
why they wouldn't include the full name.
Yeah.
Your next listener submitted question from listener Cassie W. 2 weeks ago, I asked you which ride has the highest rider capacity per hour, but Cassie wants to know what ride at the Disneyland Resort has the least rider capacity per hour. Tag says it's the Jumpin' Jellyfish. Teresa says it's the Emotional Whirlwind.
And here we go.
The correct answer that I was looking for, the Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind.
Oh, glad I stuck with that.
Wow. What's the capacity?
With an average of only 280 rides per hour, this is due to its loading process where the ride stops and guests board 8 dangling vehicles. The short ride time of 90 seconds should make it faster for people to get on and off, but the need for cast members to manually unlatch each door for unloading contributes to the low capacity.
Oh, okay.
Do you
So
by-
it's not that they can't, it's just because of the time to load it on. Okay.
The safety concerns of making sure that every single door is latched individually.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you say it like that.
Well, it's part of it, though. Do you by chance have what Jumpin' Jellyfish is?
960 riders per hour on average.
And what was...
What was the other one?
What was-
280 for Emotional Whirlwind.
Whoa.
Wow. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
So I've never been the greatest at math, but that's more than 3 times as many.
You know what's wild?
Jumpin' Jellyfish.
Is that they kept it, because, right, it was Flix Flyers when it was in Bugs Land, and then they re-themed it to the Emotional Whirlwind when they moved it. So I'm with that low of a capacity, I'm surprised they kept it, but I guess for DCA,
They need more kid attractions.
any additional capacity, especially when it's kid-friendly, any and all additional capacity for attractions is needed over there. So
Yeah.
And it's a
that's
great
wild.
attraction. It always has a line. I always enjoy it.
It's cute, yes.
Our community manager, Kate, has a great video of her daughter looking thrilled to be on it, and then suddenly...
She was on her own Emotional Whirlwind.
Yes. It was such a great video because she looks totally chill and ready to go, and then it starts moving, and her eyes get the
Everything
size of saucers.
just like, woo!
Yeah,
Suddenly
Great
it's
video.
no longer a good idea.
great video.
Yeah. Not every ride's for everyone.
That's true.
Yep. And your bonus question tonight from listener Ezekiel. What date did Small World open at Disneyland? Not just the year, the whole date. Tag said November 14th, 1965. Teresa said July 17th, 1966. The correct answer that I'm looking for is in 1966,
Oh,
and it's May 28th.
whew. They had a missed opportunity there.
They had the missed opportunity.
They could have had it be July 17th.
They could have gone with the date that you wanted.
Yeah.
But got it.
They missed an opportunity to make Teresa right all these years later.
If only they would have known.
Yeah. That's cool. See, to this, I don't know what it was about this week's questions, Vern, but I feel like...
They were tough.
They were tough, but, like, also, I was actually, like, particularly interested to know what the real answers were.
That's because we have the best listeners in all of the podcastiverse.
We do have very, very great listeners, but sometimes we get trivia questions where I'm like, this is just frustrating and not something I particularly care about at times. But this was all stuff that I was like, this is amazing. Well, some trivia questions are like really
always highly interested in what the things that I don't know. Because, right, like, I feel like we know Trivia Land is a very humbling land.
It is.
Because we feel, right, you feel like you have a pretty, like, oh, yeah, I know quite a bit. And then we come here to Trivia Land, and it's like, wow.
Let me knock you down a peg.
But no, just like, it just proves how amazing Disneyland is.
It's horizon broadening.
We talk about, like, what makes a good attraction, right, is, like, that you don't just enjoy it the first time. You enjoy it, the 20th, the 30th, the 50th, the whatevereth. And that's Disneyland, and we're proving it with all these details that we're just unaware of. Like the fact that I've never noticed the Carnation Plaza Garden CPG. Like, I'm going to make a point to go check, like, to go searching for that next time we're in the parks. Because now I'm like, that's a cool little Easter egg that I've never noticed. And we just had enough Disney. Well, you did, because you're the one that figured it out. And as soon as you said it, I'm like, yep. So we got to it the roundabout way, but like we didn't actually know it was there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So thank you, listeners, for keeping us on our toes.
Well, listeners, how do you think Tag and Teresa did? Do you have that perfect question that's going to really keep them on their toes next week? If you do have that perfect question and you'd like to hear it live on the air, please feel free to send that to us at dlweekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
A special thank you to Sidel for editing the podcast.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.